We are a local team who will do whatever it takes to keep you up and running. Sign up for internet, hosted phone, and security with our no-risk 90-day guarantee. For internet, hosted phone, and security, experience the difference of working with Rev Business. 90 years of connecting Louisiana. Visit letsrev.biz.
Are you looking for a job where you can have a ton of fun and make great money? Twin Peaks is the team for you. We're looking for Twin Peaks girls, cooks, bussers, barbacks, and more. Text WORK, the number 4 TP, that's WORK, the number 4 TP, to 85000 to apply.
Why do billion-dollar insurance companies regularly delay and deny valid claims? Because that's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, Baton Rouge. It is 7 in the morning, 40 degrees outside, sunny, no rain. And on this first hour of OTB, we're gonna recap the LSU baseball game last night, and football. So let's get this hour started.
Let's go, baby, let's go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome in, hour number 1, Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you for 2 more days. We're here today and tomorrow, and then Jake and T-Bob are expected back next week. Jordan mentioned that, first off, Elijah Villarreal, Jordan Kitchen's in here with me as well. Jordan mentioned before the show that he saw a video update from our guy T-Bob Hebert that said morale is low right now on the Disney trip. I want to and then Jordan mentioned, well, he's been there all week long. No. Our guy T-Bob left last Friday night. He's been there for 6 days now.
It's too many days in Disney.
Saturday till today. Yes. That is 6 days. I don't know. I have done a 4-day Disney trip before.
Yeah.
And it was exhausting. I don't know what the hell you can physically do in 6 days to pass the time. I have no idea. I don't know if he drives back tomorrow or they're staying until Saturday. I have no idea. I mean, this could be an 8-day Disney trip for all we know.
It can.
That seems excessive to me.
Yeah. But the problem, what was really breaking it down was how much money does T-Bob really have? I ain't trying to pocket watch, but, 8 days at Disney is not a cheap feat.
Yeah.
You really got to have
a
little bit.
They do it. Look, that's their thing. They do it every year, pretty much every year for the most part.
He's a Disney adult. I told you how I feel about those guys. But, shout out our guy T-Bob. Go hold it down.
Alondra, how we doing this morning?
Guys, I'm a little sore today. I did a power hour at the block yesterday. Oh, I did a cold plunge for the first time ever.
Okay, so when I used to go to this gym in Walker, this guy who lived there, he practically did. He practically did. He was there every time I was there. He used to always be like, he knew me and my brother. He's like, dude, I do a cold plunge every day before I come here. Y'all should come do it with me. And I don't know what that is. I don't really want to. What is a cold plunge?
Okay, so cold plunge is basically exactly what it's called.
Just jump in cold water?
Into cold water.
Okay.
And it depends, but we did it for 3 minutes yesterday. And if you know me, I've talked about it on here before. I hate the cold. I get cold very easily. I hate the cold. So it was a real mental challenge for me and just a challenge in general. And I was at the block yesterday and we did a power hour. And Fat Tuesday, we did an insane workout where it was you run a mile, do 100 of each workout that we did and then run another mile. And then so yesterday we did power hour, so I was super sore and we were let's do this cold plunge because I've never done one before. And the water was 45 degrees.
Sheesh.
And I did it and then I was dying. I was freezing in there, and then you get out, it feels like your legs go numb.
Your skin's all red too, right?
Yes, my skin was so red, and then I felt like I was getting pins and needles everywhere, and then you dry yourself off and it feels super weird. You can't feel your legs, but afterwards you feel amazing. I slept so good last night and my muscles felt so loose. So I think I'm going to be a cold plunge girly now. She was saying that like people do 15 minutes in the sauna and then they come out and do 3 minutes in the cold plunge and then do 15 and then 3 again. And I was like, I might try that.
30 minutes in a sauna sounds terrible
but you
as well.
break it up with 3 minutes.
I get it. But I don't know if I could be that hot for that long either. The most experience I have with a cold plunge, senior year of high school when I was playing football, I got a high ankle sprain like week 2. And every day after practice, the coaches were like, come stick your foot in the ice bucket or whatever. Like you have to ice the ankle. That's like the closest I've ever done. And I only had to do that for like, I had to do it every day, but it was only for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like it wasn't anything major.
It was pretty brutal, but I think I would do it again. Like I felt really good afterwards. So I don't know. Shout out to the block.
So you only had to do it for 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
See,
I videoed it.
I had to do the whole foot, but I think I did like...
There is.
I think I had to do like 10 minutes, but it was only the foot, so that's not nearly as bad. All right, guys, look, a lot to break down today. We're going to recap LSU baseball versus North Dakota State. If you didn't see the game or you don't know what happened, well, here's a slight spoiler for you. It did not go the same way as the Tuesday night game, fortunately for LSU fans. We're going to continue our LSU position room breakdown heading into Saturday's start of spring football practice. We're going to do the DB room today because I think there's a lot of question marks. However, I think there's a lot to be excited about as well. We're going to talk about the top 5 transfers heading into the 2025 football season as far as the SEC goes. One LSU Tiger has made that list. We'll talk some college basketball as well. The New Orleans Saints are now paper thin at running back. I'll get Jordan's thoughts on that. Ross Jackson's going to hop on with us to recap the Combine a little bit. Ross actually went to the NFL Combine, and then we're going to talk Saints draft preparations as well. Maybe some New Orleans Pelicans, and Chef Michael Johnson will be in his normal spot for our Munchie segment. So before all of that, let's get this show started like we do every day.
It's time to get to work, courtesy of Tiger Labor and Staffing, where they can help take care of screening, training, payroll, and more. Now, for starters.
So we were here yesterday morning, and we were talking about all the mental mistakes and the unforced errors that this LSU baseball team had made against a drastically overmatched North Dakota State team on Tuesday night. You remember the Tigers came from behind. They won that game 11-9. I mean, it was 7-1 after 3 innings. The Tigers looked like they were dead in the water, and they pulled one out of the hat. They stepped up late in the game, and they were able to win one. Last night's game was nowhere near that. It was a 13-3 run rule victory over North Dakota State. And the Tigers were hot from the very beginning. They plated 7 runs in the first inning. 11 guys batted in the first inning. They got 6 hits. They got 1 walk. They got 1 hit by pitch. The first 5 batters for LSU last night all reached base in that first inning. Stephen Milam got the scoring started. He had a 2-run single. It sent in Derek Curiel and Jared Jones. We will get into Derek Curiel in a minute. And then William Schmidt on the mound for LSU last night. He continues to show that he could potentially carve out a role in the weekend for this team. He was excellent once again. He went 4 innings. He struck out 7 batters. He did give up 1 earned run, but for the most part, William Schmidt was about as solid as you can be for a midweek night baseball game. This was everything we hoped it would be because it was the complete opposite of that Tuesday night game, right? We came here yesterday and said Stephen Milam had an unforced throwing error when he one-hopped it to Jared Jones. You saw Jake Brown in the outfield. He looked like he thought the ball was coming further than it was. He had to run up last minute. He missed it. Chris Stanfield, as fast as he is, had one go over his head in center field when he misplayed it. Michael Braswell was standing in the baseline. They called an error on him. Now, that batter probably scores anyways, but that was another error. You saw the pass balls by Cade Aaron Beatty. That led to multiple runs. It was just one error after another. Some bad at-bats as well. Because, look, Tuesday night, when you go look at that final box score, North Dakota State did nothing to win that game. You almost gave it to them. North Dakota State scored 9 runs Tuesday night on only 6 hits. It was the free passes. It was the walks. It was the hit by pitches. And then once the runners got on base, LSU couldn't seem to do anything right. It was error after error. You limited that for the most part. Chris Stanfield, he had the RBI single in the 3rd inning. And then Jared Jones hit a 3-run homer. Jared Jones had 2 home runs that night. The first one made it 11-1. Jones came back up later in that game, hit a home run to right center. That made it 13-1. Jacob Myers came in. He pitched well for you. It was a complete team effort. And we talked about it yesterday. Look, you played a really bad game against a really bad opponent. You were able to get the win. Can you flush it and start over? They did that. They looked like a completely different baseball team. Because, look, while Tuesday night's game wasn't one of those things where it was like, oh, maybe we're overestimating this LSU baseball team. No, because, again, it was errors. It was mental mistakes. It wasn't like North Dakota State was striking you out and they were tearing the cover off the ball and making contact with your pitchers. It was really the walks, the hit by pitches, the errors when they got on base. We wanted to see, hey, is that a one-off or is this who LSU is going to be? It looks like it might be a one-off. They were excellent. The Tigers at the plate as a team, 10 for 26, a 385 batting average. Now, again, this is against a North Dakota State pitching staff whose ERA coming into Tuesday night was north of 11 as a staff. However, you still got to make the plays. We talked about Tuesday night how when LSU had 6 RBIs, 6 two-out RBIs, the clutch hitting continued. With runners on last night, LSU was 8 for 15. That's a 533 batting average. With runners in scoring position, they were 5 for 7. That's a 714 batting average. I mentioned Jared Jones. 3 for 4, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. And then when he got on base, he made it count. He scored 3 runs of his own. Derek Curiel at the top of the lineup. He was 2 for 2. He had 2 runs. He also earned a walk. We talked about his performance on Tuesday night, where he didn't have a hit, but he was at the top of the lineup. He got walked twice. He got hit by a pitch. He reached base 3 times in that game. So he's 2 for 2, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. He gets a walk. He does a little bit of everything for you at the top of the order. LSU's defense was also errorless last night, which might be the most important thing. Because I just listed all the errors, right? Stanfield misplaying the ball. Jake Brown misplaying the ball. Stephen Milam one-hopping it to Jared Jones. Jared Jones misplacing that ball. He can't corral it. The runner goes from first all the way to third. Number of pass balls by Cade Beatty. Michael Braswell standing in the baseline on third base. It was error after error. A couple things stood out to me last night, though. Look, it wasn't the great hitting. It wasn't the no errors on defense. I expect that from LSU in a game like this. First off, I want to highlight Derek Curiel. I understand that it is very early in his college baseball career, but I continue to be more and more impressed with his approach at the plate. He almost reminds me of like, one of the classic LSU outfielders who are also thrown in there at the top of the lineup early in their career, like an Antoine Duplantis, a Mark Layer, like guys like that. But also, Derek Curiel probably has more pop in his bat than those two guys ever had. He is phenomenal at the top of that order, and he's only going to get better. Every time I see any level of ball, whether it's a freshman in high school, a freshman in college, wherever, if they are leading off, I raise an eyebrow a little bit. I'm like, okay, either the rest of the team can't hit and that's their best option, or this guy's really something special. Derek Curiel appears to be something really special. He looks incredible. Also, I understand that there's kind of a two-headed battle at catcher right now between Luis Hernandez and Cade Beatty. They have by far gotten the most run. They've kind of split time on the weekends as well. Blaze Priester was really good behind the dish last night. He didn't have any pass balls. He corralled the wild pitches pretty well for the most part. I was very impressed with Blaze Priester. If he can get his offense going, I'm not saying he's going to beat out Hernandez or Aaron Beatty, but that's another option that you could potentially go to. Well, we have seen Jay Johnson play multiple catchers. Heck, in 2023, he had 3 catchers. And they all played a significant amount of time, whether they were DHing or whether they were behind the plate, depending on who the pitcher was. They were awesome. Look, Hunter McCann from WBRZ joined us yesterday and asked him about Anthony Irons. Me and Alondra have talked about Anthony Irons a number of times. He does a good job getting out of jams, but what if he doesn't get out of those jams? There may be another option for you on the weekend series with a guy named William Schmidt. He's looked really good every time you have seen him in the weekend series. Look, long story short, yes, you beat a really bad baseball team 2 games in a row. You had to do it in multiple different ways. That makes you a better baseball team. And all the errors we wanted to see cleaned up, all the unforced issues, they did that and more. This was probably the best start to a game they've had all year compared to the worst start they've had to a game, which was on Tuesday night. I was very impressed. This shows the leadership on this team. It shows the coaching ability on this team. I was about as impressed as you could be over a win over North Dakota State. The Tigers will welcome North Alabama in the final non-conference weekend series this year. North Alabama has lost 5 games in a row for what it's worth, and they will come into the weekend 3-8 with losses to Auburn and Tennessee. So, again, you have a chance to get a lot of experience and then kind of fine-tune what you're not good at right now before you head into that first SEC weekend series against the Missouri Tigers. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, I'm going to continue my position room breakdown for LSU football as spring practice is set to kick off on Saturday. We're going to hit the DB room when we come back. That's on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the bench.
All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. If you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you're renting, and we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks, and well, next week is here, but if you've got a trip for Mardi Gras break, it is not too late. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in the rental department. And if you need a midsize SUV, a full-size SUV, van, truck, hybrid, sedan, doesn't matter. Everything's available in that rental process. So make sure to get that done. But of course, if you're buying new or leasing, well, actually, maybe not leasing. Maybe you go some places and you only have like 3 options, one in each category. That's not the case over at All-Star. T-Bob and I have both taken full advantage of the rental process, leasing a vehicle, buying new. All 3, everything's going to be available. And we always tell you they have something for everybody. No matter what your needs are, what your family's needs are, they have got you taken care of. So go check out the full selection of vehicles at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111.
link up with my girl last night, so I went to the club.
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, welcome back in. Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you in place of Jacob Hester and T-Bob Abear. Teased it a little bit there before we hit that first break. Every day this week, I have hit one position group that I want to highlight going into spring practice for LSU. We've done running back. We've done wide receiver. Today, I want to hit the DB room because while there's a lot of questions there, I think there's a lot to be excited about as well because it's probably the biggest change of any room on LSU's roster. The Tigers dominated the transfer portal in this area. You bring in Jakeem Jackson, you bring in Mansour Delane. With Jackson, he comes over from Florida, so he does have SEC experience. Now, he's only played in 13 games over 2 seasons, but he dealt with some injuries. The thing I like most about him is that he signed at Florida under Corey Raymond before LSU rehired him. There's familiarity there with your DB coach. We know Corey Raymond is considered one of the best in the business. I'm always willing to bring in a guy who has SEC experience for multiple years, and he's already familiar with the coaching staff. So while we haven't seen a ton from him on field, again, he was a highly recruited guy. He could have went pretty much anywhere going out of high school, and he trusts Corey Raymond enough to go to him not once, but twice at 2 different stops. You got to appreciate having a guy like that in that room. The biggest addition for LSU in the offseason as far as transfer portals go at this position may have been Mansour Delane. In 3 years at Virginia Tech, Mansour Delane, 146 tackles, 6 interceptions, 8 tackles for a loss. He was an all-ACC caliber player for the Hokies. Also, when he came in, what did you hear? Well, Mansour Delane has the ability to play corner and safety. That's important. We're going to get to that later because safety, while you filled a need in the transfer portal, you may still have some needs there as well. Mansour Delane's a guy who hovers around 200 pounds. He's 6'1", so he certainly has the size to play corner and safety, and apparently he has the versatility as well. I'm excited to see what he has. Him of all people, as far as the returners I'm going to mention, the transfers, the incoming freshmen, Mansour Delane of all people is a guy that I could see sticking at one spot the easiest. Meaning, whether it's corner, whether it's safety, I'm almost going to pencil in Mansour Delane at one of those spots. He's the most accomplished transfer you brought in. He has the most experience, and he's more versatile than a Jakeem Jackson. Then you look at maybe the hottest name, but obviously the guy with the least amount of experience. It's freshman early enrollee DJ Pickett. DJ Pickett was the number 1 cornerback in the nation coming out of high school. Look, he had 94 tackles in high school. He had 10 interceptions. He also played a ton of receiver. I mean, there was talks that some schools even wanted him as a receiver. He was that good on that side of the ball. He also ran track in high school, so super, super athletic guy. He's long. He is 6'4", 180 pounds as a true freshman. Not many times do you see a corner stand out there on the perimeter at 6'4". That gives you a huge matchup advantage. There's been a lot of talks of, hey, if Harold Perkins struggles at star, could you move DJ Pickett to star? I think you can. Corner, safety, star, wherever. This is a guy that can play anywhere on the field because he's 6'4", because he's 180 pounds. I just mentioned him playing both ways in high school, him running track in high school. He has the athleticism to do it. It's going to be tough to keep DJ Pickett off the field. Maybe the most important signee of the offseason was Tamarcus Cooley from NC State. Maybe the piece you needed the most because of how bad you were at safety and how light you are depth-wise coming into 2025. Last season at NC State, 43 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, 3 interceptions. So he did a little bit of everything for the Wolfpack defensively. Without question, he's the leader of that safety group. Tamarcus Cooley is going to start at safety on this team. Barring something unforeseen or some sort of injury, if Tamarcus Cooley is fully healthy and somebody else doesn't have an incredible showing in the spring, Tamarcus Cooley will be one of LSU's starting safeties. So look, you got the 3 transfers in Cooley and Delane and Jackson. You got the big-time freshman coming in DJ Pickett. But where I think this room gets very interesting is the returners that you have coming back. Ashton Stamps, PJ Woodland, and Michael Turner. Ashton Stamps and PJ Woodland were all the rave last fall camp. Ashton Stamps really has been for 2 years now. Now, for most of the year, Stamps was the starter opposite of Zy Alexander, who is since moving on. He was a huge loss. But if you go look at Ashton Stamps, he made some nice plays. The problem with Stamps is he was just a little inconsistent. He would get beat deep a few times, then he would make an incredible play. He would bat down the ball, and you're like, okay, we've seen flashes. We just need the consistency to be there a little more often. PJ Woodland, another guy, he played a ton as well. He played in pretty much every game this year for LSU as a true freshman. He was an early enrollee in the spring. He's a name that you heard more and more. A little bit undersized, needed to gain a little bit more weight. I think he'll have no problem doing that. He was just a little raw last year. At times he went out there and he made good plays. At times he went out there and you're like, okay, this guy's a true freshman. I can see it. That's just your outside corner guys. You also return Michael Turner as well. He's a guy that got some run late in the season. He played a little bit in the bowl game. Keep an eye on him as well. As far as safeties, you return Jordan Gilbert, Deshaun Spears, and Javian Toviano is now there full-time. He's always kind of went in the middle, back and forth, corner safety. I've always preferred him at safety. I think this is a good move. Gilbert had an up-and-down year, but he started a lot of games for you. He started a lot of big-time games for you. Now, the results were certainly mixed, but if you're looking for a guy with experience and a quote-unquote returning starter, Jordan Gilbert you got. Deshaun Spears showed flashes last year. He's a guy that I highlighted, that Jake highlighted, that anybody that went out there highlighted because he stood out early. He is 6'3". He is 200 pounds. He has the body to play. Again, a lot like a PJ Woodland. You saw the flashes. At times you could tell he was a freshman. He may have not been quite ready to take over that spot as far as an every down player. So you got all these returners at corner and safety. You got all these transfers coming in as well. You have DJ Pickett, one of the top high school players in the country. The key to me to this secondary in the spring comes down to one of three players. DJ Pickett, Ashton Stamps, PJ Woodland. Let me explain. If one or more of DJ Pickett, Ashton Stamps, and PJ Woodland emerges at corner, could you move Mansour Delane to safety at that point? Because let's say, Stamps is technically a returning starter. Let's say Stamps locks down one of those jobs like he was able to do last year. And then on the other side, it's either DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, or Jakeem Jackson. Well, you brought in Mansour Delane. You expected him to be a big-time player. Can you move him to that safety spot? If you can do that, you have two super experienced guys in Tamarcus Cooley and Mansour Delane on the at the back end of your defense. And on the outside, you have Ashton Stamps, a 2-year starter, been in the program for 3 years. And you either have Jakeem Jackson, one of the highest-rated transfers, or you have the number one cornerback in the country coming out of high school in DJ Pickett. It's not a bad room. If you don't move Mansour Delane, who will grab that other spot next to Tamarcus Cooley at safety? I highlighted 3 guys. Javian Toviano, Deshaun Spears, Jordan Gilbert. A lot of people have mentioned Javian Toviano. I think Deshaun Spears is going to get the first crack at it just because we saw him the most last year outside of Gilbert, who really struggled. I think if you felt good about Gilbert, you wouldn't have brought in Tamarcus Cooley, because you brought in Cooley because you needed that veteran safety. Gilbert kind of was that veteran safety. He had an up and down year. Spears showed flashes. He's played a lot. But look, Javian Toviano was a 5-star player coming out of high school. He could have played corner. He could have played safety. He got thrown in the fire a lot like Ashton Stamps 2 years ago as freshmen when they both had to go out there and play the outside corner spot. Stamps certainly looked like the better of two at corner because Javian Toviano was still a little bit more of a safety when he got to LSU. So that kind of set him back for a year. Halfway through last year was kind of his first time playing safety full-time here at LSU. He'll have an entire offseason to do it. How can he perform? He's a guy that's 6'2". He's got good size on him. We know his athletic ability because he held his own at corner for the most part. He was a true freshman, played in the SEC on a bad defense with not a lot of help around him, and he made some plays. And he was playing out of position. Those two guys, Deshaun Spears, Javian Toviano, are the guys I'm watching, along with a Pickett, Stamps, and PJ Woodland. I think that group of guys, those 2 guys at safety, those 3 guys at corner, is going to tell you everything you need to know about how deep you are and what the rotation is going to look like for the LSU DB room after spring and going into fall practice. I don't know how good this room is going to be. I certainly think it's going to be better than a year ago, but I'm excited about it. There's a lot of new faces, and there's a lot of returning guys that maybe got thrown in there a little bit before they were ready, that are another year under Corey Raymond, another year in this program, who I think are only going to get better. So I'm very excited to see what this group is made of here in 2025. All right, look, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, an article was put out about the top 5 SEC transfers heading into 2025. An LSU Tiger made that list. We'll break it down next here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
GetGordon.com. GetGordon.com is the website, and we tell you every single day, as soon as you go to the homepage, it's going to pull up. You can have a chat with them right there on the main page of the website. So any question, concern that you might have, remember, you can get a consultation set up right there on the homepage of that website. You can find cases they can handle for you in the courtroom, past client results, all right there on the homepage of the website. What are they doing in the community? Well, always something throughout the state of Louisiana. At Get Gordon is always going to be the handle on all major social media, so you can check that out as well, because like we said, I mean, they're always doing something throughout the state. Speaking of throughout the state, if you want to pick up the phone and give them a call, it is your area code from Shreveport to Ruston, from Ruston to Lafayette, Lafayette to Baton Rouge, Newark, like wherever you're at, put your area code followed by 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343.
Joe cracked the dawn,
Got it.
Welcome back to more sports talk with some other stuff mixed in. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Welcome back into an R&B Thursday edition of Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Taylor Sharp in the host chair for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Okay, I want to continue our discussion of spring football here as most of the SEC teams will begin spring ball coming up a little bit later this week. Ben Trinidad from Sportskeeda put out an article listing the top 5 SEC transfers heading into the 2025 college football season. At number 1, he has a guy by the name of Damon Wilson III. If you don't know Damon Wilson III, he was an edge rusher. He transferred to the Missouri Tigers. Last season, he was a freshman with the Georgia Bulldogs. We know what kind of coaching he got there with Kirby Smart. He was able to record 22 tackles and 3 sacks. So a pretty nice true freshman season off the edge. And I know what you're thinking. Well, if this guy's so good and played a lot as a freshman, why would he leave Georgia and go to Missouri? He was apparently unsatisfied with his treatment in the Georgia Bulldogs program. He actually requested to leave. He is now part of the Missouri Tigers.
That's y'all. You know what that means?
What?
That means they wouldn't let him drive too fast, so we had to leave. You know, Georgia was like, hey, we're cracking down on that. Wouldn't let him drive too fast, so it's like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to Missouri.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
100%,
There's a chance.
100%.
Look, he's now part of a Missouri defense that struggled in 2024. The LSU D-line coach opening makes this interesting because a name that keeps getting thrown out there, there's been conflicting reports on whether they're trying to hire Al Davis, whether they're not. But that is currently Missouri's defensive line coach. And he's a guy that, while we don't know how much interest there is internally from LSU or mutual interest, we know that there's at least been a conversation. The name is being brought up. If he loses Al Davis, how does that impact him in 2025 with the Missouri Tigers? Look, that was one of Missouri's best signings in the offseason. They really needed a pass rusher because, think about it. LSU stole Blake Baker from Missouri, right? They also took Kevin Peoples, who is the defensive end coach, the edge rusher coach, whatever you want to call it, here at LSU. So their defense took a step back in 2024. Bringing in a guy like a Damon Wilson makes a lot of sense for Eli Drinkwitz. He's trying to get that defense back trending in the right direction. Number 2 on this list, they have Eric Singleton Jr. This is a name that you have heard a lot. He was one of the top transfers in the portal. He comes out of Virginia Tech. He's had 2 really solid seasons at Virginia Tech. As a freshman in 2023, 714 yards, 6 touchdowns. Last year, 56 catches, 754 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he has 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2 seasons at Georgia Tech. He's a little bit on the smaller side at 5'11", but that doesn't really matter. What makes this the most interesting is that Auburn had one of the best first-year wide receivers in the country last year in Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman is a big 6'3" wide receiver. He had 600 yards receiving last year. He had 8 touchdowns, and that's in an Auburn offense with Peyton Thorne at quarterback, who was a liability to say the least. They bring in Jackson Arnold this year. Now, look, there's certain opinions of Jackson Arnold one way or the other. Jackson Arnold is certainly an upgrade over Peyton Thorne. There's no question about that. And now you have Cam Coleman and an Eric Singleton on the outside. That's a recipe for success in my book. I think this was a really good signing for Auburn and grabbing Eric Singleton. Number 3, it's a John Mateer heading to the Oklahoma Sooners. He's set to replace Jackson Arnold as their quarterback for 2025. Look, Mateer was at Washington State last year, and he had a really good year. 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns. It was an up-and-down season for Washington State, but he was great. Now, again, I mentioned the 3,100 yards and the 29 touchdowns. John Mateer also only 7 interceptions a year ago. Really solid numbers for him. So he goes to Oklahoma now. What's that going to do for him? I think it's a great, great signing for the Sooners. At number 4, it's Nick Anderson. It's the big receiver we've talked about for a number of years. He comes from Oklahoma to the LSU Tigers. He sat out all 2024. We talked about this a little bit yesterday because of an injury. But in 2023, he was one of the team's top receivers in a very good offense with Dillon Gabriel at quarterback. He averaged 21 yards per catch in 2023 with 10 touchdowns. And that was really his first significant action he had seen at Oklahoma. He burst onto the scene in 2023. He was a huge loss when he went down after the first game of the year. I've said for a while now, as soon as it was announced that Nick Anderson was coming here, that I think he's going to be an X factor for the LSU program. And here's why. You know he's explosive with the 21 yards per catch and 10 touchdowns. But also, he is 6'5", close to 220 pounds. You don't have a guy like that on your roster. As good as Aaron Anderson was, Aaron Anderson sits at about 5'10", 5'11". Same thing for Xavier Thomas. Now, Chris Hilton's got a little bit of height on him. He's 6 foot 6'1", but he ain't 6'4", 220 pounds. That guy can be a difference maker on the outside of any team that he's on, especially with a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier. I talked about how good he was 2 years ago with Dillon Gabriel as his starting quarterback. He has the ability to do the same thing here. Because I love Aaron Anderson in the slot. Xavier Thomas is going to get some play there as well. The tight end position looks really good, whether it's Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp, or Donovan Green. But Nick Anderson on the outside of this offense can really be a mismatch for a lot of people. We've talked about it with Trey'Dez Green, right? Is he going to play tight end? Is he going to play more out wide? I like Trey'Dez more out wide. I like pairing him with a Bauer Sharp because there's that 6'7" mismatch outside. You got a 6'7" receiver on one side, a 6'5" receiver on the other side, and that's like rolling out your power forwards out there to play wide receiver. We know his explosiveness. The only thing I'm concerned about with Nick Anderson, first off, it'll be his first year playing with Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not really worried about the speed of the SEC for him. I mean, he played at Oklahoma. He's played at a bunch of big-time games, even before they joined the SEC. If Nick Anderson is fully healthy, he's going to be fine. That's what I'm worried about. Look, he had an injury week 1 of college football last year. He sat out the entire year. By all accounts, he's fully healthy. If he's fully healthy, that might be the biggest transfer portal addition that LSU made. Because even last year, as good as Anderson was, Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thomas stepped up for you. Chris Hilton was big down the stretch as far as those deep balls. Kyron Lacey, he was hit and miss. You did not have that big-bodied, bona fide number 1 receiver. You can maybe have that in Nick Anderson. If he's fully healthy, he grasps the offense, and he has a good connection with Garrett Nussmeier, the sky is the limit for a Nick Anderson in 2025. The final name on this list is a guy that, frankly, I'm a little tired of hearing about. It's Zachariah Branch, the USC transfer coming into the Georgia Bulldogs. Zachariah Branch's name has always been brought up because if you remember, 2 years ago, he was a freshman. And forgive me, I don't remember who they played week 1 of the season. But USC was in prime time, week 1 of the college football season, Zachariah Branch's first game. Zachariah Branch had a long punt return for a touchdown, and he caught a really long pass that set him up for another touchdown. His first game as a college football player. So everyone sat up here for the last year and a half and said, Zachariah Branch is a game changer. Zachariah Branch is a difference maker. He's really not, though, guys. I mean, look at what he's done. His freshman year, 2023, USC, 31 catches, 320 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's fine. And then last year, okay, he's going to be the guy. He's the guy. You just wait. 47 catches, 503 yards, just 1 receiving touchdown. You can talk about, okay, well, he's a dynamic player in the return game. Maybe. 2023, 16 returns, 32 yards, which is great. That's a 20-yard average. 1 punt return for a touchdown. Last year, 13 returns, 74 yards, 5.7 yards per return. That's what you're dealing with Zachariah Branch. I get it. He's a guy that broke onto the scene early. He was on national TV when he did it. You see an explosive player coming out of USC as a freshman. Everyone gets excited. But he really hasn't done much. I mean, he has 400 career punt return yards and 1 touchdown. He has 547 career kickoff return yards and 1 touchdown. And he has 823 career receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. Was he in the best offense at USC? No. Do I think he's going to have better coaching under Kirby Smart than Lincoln Riley? Absolutely, I do. Most of you know how I feel about Lincoln Riley. I will give him this. He's going to have a lot of opportunity at Georgia because they have a lot of unproven names at receiver right now. They didn't have that number one guy last year. They're hoping Zachariah Branch can be that, and maybe he can't. We haven't seen anything in his college career that shows that Zachariah Branch is capable of being a number one every down wide receiver for a football team. We just haven't seen it. Again, 830 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is his receiving numbers in 2 years of college football. In a pass-happy offense at USC. I just don't see it. I know that a lot of people are high on him. He's a guy that, look, he's coming in. He's certainly fast. He's certainly athletic. The production just really hasn't been there. We'll see what happens, but look, keep an eye out for Nick Anderson. I think he's a name you're going to hear a lot in spring practice for the LSU Tigers. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, the LSU women's basketball team will begin SEC tournament play this weekend, but there's one player in particular I want to highlight. She's up for some postseason awards. It's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Yeah, look at my guy, Hunter Burns in the chat. Go Pels, baby. That's right. Go Pels and go Tommies. Tommy's when it's exciting. GEAUX Tommys.com. What about this? Go Bearded. Okay, Tommy Kissinger, not just a window, party planker, vinyl siding, water vinyl windows, any type of door expert. He is an expert at all that. If you need any of that, energy efficient options, lifetime warranties, they got you. He also has a sick beard, but he realized he was getting into the beard game. He didn't have the product that he needed. And so he started a company, Go Bearded, GEAUXbearded.com. And if you want to live your best bearded life, live it to the fullest, grow it to the fullest, you need those products. GoBearded.com, GoTommys.com.
Yeah, when you go to GoTommys.com, you'll see what they can do for you. Always tell you there's great testimonials and galleries of what they've done in the greater Baton Rouge area, but also they can customize your job. Have Tommy and the team come out, tell them what you're looking for, and they will get it done. GoTommys.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343.
Say my name, say my name. If no one is around you, say baby I love you. If you ain't running game, say my name, say my name. You acting kinda shady, ain't calling me baby. Why the sudden change? Say my name, say my name.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Feels like Jordan's good. Feels like maybe somebody else needs to go to yourgoodwood.com and check out what they've got for you. Check out some tea situations and different things because, I don't know, don't love the energy coming out of some people there. Yourgoodwood.com. Click to schedule your appointment today online. Yourgoodwood.com.
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number 1, a Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, Alondra Villarreal and Jordan Kitchens alongside me. Just a few more minutes here before we have to hit that top of the hour break. Wanted to mention this. Look, LSU women's basketball is going to be playing in the SEC tournament this coming weekend. But one of the LSU Tigers has been named a finalist for a postseason award. So LSU's Michaela Williams has been named a top 5 finalist for the Naismith Basketball Cheryl Miller Small Forward of the Year award. She's part of a trio of Tigers on Tuesday's All-SEC first team as well. You can guess the other two. Yep, it's Flau'jae Johnson and Anissa Mara. Look, Williams has 11 games this season with at least 20 points. She has 2 with at least 30. She's averaging 17.5 points per game this year. And look, they're asking her to do a lot of different things this year, right? I get that she's up for Small Forward of the Year award. She could be up for Point Guard of the Year, really anything. When the game is on the line, Kim Mulkey trusts Michaela Williams, and she puts the ball in her hands, and rightfully so. I mean, let's just look at what she's shooting. 46% from the floor, 39% from 3. She also has 3.5 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. 2.5 turnovers a game, but she's ball dominant anyway, so that's going to happen. I mentioned the 17.5 points per game. That's up from 14.5 last year. I thought that last season, as a true freshman, Michaela Williams was the best player on LSU's basketball team. That argument's only strengthened this year. She is the LSU offense at times this year. Think about all the big-time moments she's had. All late-game situations when they need a three-pointer to be made. Even when Michaela Williams is having an off-shooting night, Kim Mulkey trusts her enough to get the job done. I don't think there's any question on who should win this award. I said the other day, I'm not sure there's 10 players total in college basketball that are better all-around players than Michaela Williams. Because it's not just her scoring. Look, her scoring's great. 17.5 points a game. Look, 3.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds. That's awesome. Her defense is really good as well. She's an underrated defender. She can guard 1 through 3 defensively as well as play 1 through 3 offensively. She's about as complete of a basketball player as you're going to get. She's also doing all of this on the taller side for a guard in the women's game at about 6'1". For what it's worth, the other finalists, Sania Citron from Notre Dame, Madison Booker, who's an outstanding player at Texas, Sarah Strong from UConn, and Camille Pierre from Vanderbilt. As good as UConn's been lately, as good as Notre Dame's been lately, I think this is a two-headed race between Michaela Williams and Madison Booker. When you saw LSU go to Austin and lose that game to Texas, a large part of that was due to the attention that Madison Booker draws. Because Madison Booker's one of those players that doesn't even have to have a huge game to beat you. She draws so much attention that her teammates are going to be open because of the attention she draws. Michaela Williams is a very similar type of player. One thing I will say, Michaela's more versatile on the offensive end. She handles the ball a little bit better than Madison Booker. She's a little bit better of a distributor. And honestly, she's probably better on the defensive end. I know it's early in her career, but Michaela Williams has a chance to be really, really special here in Baton Rouge. If Kim Mulkey wants to win another title here soon, it's likely going to be on the back of a player like a Michaela Williams. She is one of those players that anything you ask her to do, she's going to be able to do. We've seen it multiple times this year. And again, it's not just the shooting. Even though I have brought up the shooting late in games, it's everything else as well, right? So look, we don't know who LSU's opponent is going to be in the SEC tournament yet. They got to play that game tonight. But tomorrow at 7:30, LSU's the 3 seed, so they're going to play that late game. LSU's going to play the tournament. We'll see what kind of run they can make. Their seeding is going to be locked up, I think, somewhere between 3 through 5, really regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament. And remember, Flau'jae Johnson will not be there until March Madness rolls around, so they will have to do this without Flau'jae Johnson. Haven't looked great lately without Flau'jae. When you have a player like Michaela Williams, you're going to be in every basketball game you play, and it's because of that reason. LSU losers of the last 2 games, really where their defense has struggled, but we'll see what they can do in that SEC tournament. All right, that's going to do it for hour number 1 of OTB. Variety of topics there in hour number 1. We opened things with LSU baseball, hit a couple LSU and SEC football segments, and wrapped up right there with some women's basketball. In hour number 2, I want to continue the college basketball discussion, a March Madness preview, because there's about 3 teams right now on the men's side of things that I think have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about the Saints running back position. They are paper thin. And then Ross Jackson of LouisianaSports.net and Locked On Saints will join us to give us a combine recap. That's all coming up. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Good morning, Baton Rouge. It is 8 in the morning, and it is 48 degrees outside. Super sunny. And to go with a nice sunny morning, we're going to talk about a little, men's college basketball, New Orleans Saints. That's not a threat. And potentially some more LSU football news. So we're going to kick this hour off.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
They said I got to come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome in, hour number 2, Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you. Alondra Villarreal and Jordan Kitchens, who just did a fantastic intro to hour number 2. Alondra, I need your help with something before we get started here in hour number 2, because I'm a little stumped.
Okay.
What would you say is super sunny? What classifies super sunny?
Also, we can't even. How do you know it's sunny outside? We can't see it. We got here before the sun rose.
I was like, well, hold on. Where is this going? Wait. It's the weather report on
It says
Weather
sunny.
Channel. It just said a nice big bright sun. So I'm envisioning outside a nice bright sun. Yeah, so we're boxed off from the world right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it say super sunny?
It feels super sunny. I feel it. I feel the UV rays radiating on me right now.
You feel UV rays and maybe in the darkest room in this entire building with no windows.
Definitely is the darkest. It's not the coldest. Not the coldest, but it's one of the darkest rooms. I will say this. I'm willing to be a betting man. And when we walk out of this studio, it'll be a nice, bright, and sunny day outside. Matter of fact, chat, let us know right now. Is it sunny outside? Please let me know. Is it sunny outside? I believe it.
I mean, it probably is, but
Yes.
I just I'm
super
trying to
sunny.
figure out
Let me
where
know.
you
Super
got
sunny.
super from.
Yeah. Super sunny. You gotta be, be positive.
It's okay.
Have a little positivity.
I got picked on for about 6 months in the YouTube chat because I said
said
thunder showers one time.
Thunder
Oh
showers.
my God.
Which I stand by.
That was the
because
funniest.
Storm
This
to
dude
me.
said thunder showers.
I get you, though.
Well, storm to me depends on how hard it's raining.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be thundering, but it can thunder and not storm. So it's a thunder shower. I stand by it.
Nah.
It's a moderate rain with thunder and lightning mixed in.
Look,
it's a thunder shower.
They're choosing to be difficult. All right, we get what you know. We know what you mean.
Well,
man.
look, Jordan, I have explained this multiple times to T-Bob and Jake.
Yeah.
I am not a professional weatherman, so
Exactly.
appreciate anybody tuning in. But if you were getting your daily weather and relying solely on off the bench,
That's a
that's
problem.
kind of on you.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
But
that's-
also, we've been doing this before I started doing that, the intro or whatever, and I think it's pointless.
I love it, actually. I kind of
I
love
think it's pointless. I don't think that we need to do it.
No,
but,
y'all the
I
only
mean,
show
if we
that does it.
wanna-
That's what
I
makes it
know.
cool.
I'm like, we don't need to do it.
No.
Nobody tunes into 104.5 ESPN to get a weather report from Taylor.
You know what? We don't know that. T-Bob
Nobody
chest
cares.
hair probably does. T-Bob's knee in the chat. They're those are the type of guys
I
that
think it's
look
pointless.
forward to Taylor to do that.
No offense, Taylor.
all right, well, impossible transition there.
You get a whole segment.
Nah, we good.
Let's,
We keep it rolling.
Let's dive in right now to a little college basketball. Look, March Madness is coming up. I just mentioned LSU women's played in the SEC tournament coming up tomorrow night. I think there are 3 teams right now in men's college basketball that stand out above the rest. And that's difficult to say because all season long, me, you, anybody else who's watched these games have said, man, the field is so wide open. UConn is taking a step down. This is anybody's game. And while it is, to me, there are 3 teams that stand out above the rest. The first team, it's the Duke Blue Devils. It's self-explanatory. Cooper Flagg is as good as it gets in college basketball. Just look at his numbers. 19.6 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.6 steals, 1.2 blocks. Cooper Flagg leads Duke in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks per game. Think about that for a second. That's a talented basketball team. It's also more than just Cooper Flagg, though. Con Knippel, 36 points, or 13.6 points per game. He shoots almost 40% from 3, and he shoots over 91% from the free throw line. Similar player is Tyrese Proctor, another guy that'll just shoot you to death from 3. 40% from behind the arc, 11.8 points per game. He's a guy that's been there for multiple years. Look, I get it. You had to replace Coach K. You got John Shire now. But this team right now, this might be the best Duke team they've had in 5 years. Really since, talent-wise, really since R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, and Zion Williams. That team made it to the Elite Eight and honestly probably should have went further than that. They had the talent to win it all. I think this Duke team is on par with that one. Maybe not top-level talent outside of Cooper Flagg, but this is a deep team. They got a lot of different guys that can hurt you in a lot of different ways. The second team I want to highlight is Auburn. In my opinion, they are the most complete team in the SEC. I get it. They just lost the game to Texas A&M. It was a double-digit game where Auburn actually never led in that ballgame. That is a little bit concerning. Here's why I'm not super concerned. Janai Broome is this offense. As good as the other pieces around Janai Broome are that we're going to get into in a minute, Janai Broome is this offense. He took 9 shots. He scored 8 points. Here's why. Janai Broome got into foul trouble, so he could not be as aggressive as he normally is. Now, he still played 32 minutes because he was able to, not foul out. But, look, total fouls for each team. Auburn committed 19 fouls. Texas A&M outscored them 36-28 in the paint. Again, because Broome and Dylan Cardwell and the big men couldn't be as aggressive as they may have liked. Free throws. Auburn was 13-15. Texas A&M shot 25 free throws in that ballgame. You're at home. You have the advantage already. You get the other team in foul trouble early on. It's very, very hard to win that game because Auburn shot the ball well. Auburn actually outshot Texas A&M from the field as a whole and from behind the arc. Auburn shot 50% from the court and almost 41% from three. They shot the ball well enough to win that game. They just, again, couldn't be as aggressive as they wanted to be on the defensive end, really down in the paint. I mentioned the point in paint differential. How about this differential? Texas A&M, 24 offensive rebounds, Auburn just 8. You normally see that number flipped. When you get into foul trouble early on, it is very hard to do what you want offensively. Look, Janai Broome is a complete player. To me, he's what separates this team from the rest of the SEC. If anybody watched that Alabama versus Auburn game about a month ago, it was a 1 versus 2 matchup. The reason Auburn was able to take care of business there and pull away down the stretch is because Alabama didn't have anybody that could match Janai Broome. Because as good as shooters as Auburn is from the three-point line, which we'll get into in a minute, Alabama's just as good for the most part. They don't have a Janai Broome down low. And look, Dylan Cardwell for this basketball team is a good post player. But Janai Broome can play in the post. He's got a good mid-range shot. He can step back and hit a 3 when he needs to. He's a good defender. Janai Broome can pretty much do it all on the court, and Alabama did not have anybody to match him. That's why he went out there. He scored over 20 points, and Auburn was able to win that game, and they were actually pretty comfortable in the last few minutes of that ballgame. But outside of him, Chad Baker-Mazara is a problem for other teams. In the last 3 games, look, he only had 15 against Texas A&M. But before that, back-to-back games of 22 points. He's averaging about 13 a game. He shoots over 47%, and once again, another guy that shoots over 40% from 3. Miles Kelly, another great shooter. We have seen him get hot time and time again this basketball season and just kill opponents with his shooting. Dylan Cardwell, who I already mentioned in the post. Tahad Pettiford, he's getting better and better. He's the freshman guard.
All these guys are old, man. The Chad Baker guy, he's older than me, and he's still playing college ball.
But the thing that makes them so good, and I agree, but first off, that's what plays in the NCAA
You're
tournament.
right, you got to be older.
You look at guys, that's why a Villanova, a UConn, teams like this always perform well. Go back and look at the previous national champions. They all have 2 things in common. 1, they all have veteran leaders on that team, and 2, they're all top 10 in free throws. They're all top 10 in free throw percentage. All of these teams can shoot free throws well. All of them have veterans. And a guy like Tahad Pettiford, who I'm mentioning now, he's a freshman guard. So you have that young talent as well. Duke has that. Tyrese Proctor's a guy that's been there for a number of years. But
I'm praying on Auburn's downfall. I just can't respect their game.
I understand it.
I'm just praying on their downfall.
But you know what? They do it well.
They got to win this year. You need to win this year.
Their issue in the past is that they've been such a good shooting team that when they have an off-shooting night, they have nothing else to combat that.
Like Houston a little bit, yeah.
With Janai Broome, with Dylan Cardwell, with these guys that can play in the post, they're a more complete team this year than they have been in the past. Yeah. I've been a big Auburn doubter in the past as well, but this team's a little bit different because of the number of guys and the number of ways that they can hurt you. Okay, look, we know about Duke. We know about Auburn. They've pretty much been the top 2 teams all year long. The last team I want to highlight is the Houston Cougars, led by Kelvin Sampson. Look, They have a veteran in LJ Cryer. He is a fifth-year graduate player. Again, it's always nice to have veteran leadership when you get into the NCAA tournament. They're just a disciplined, well-coached basketball team, and that's going to happen when you have Kelvin Sampson. Also, they're a lot more efficient on offense in recent years. Under Sampson, we always see this team top 10, top 5 in defensive efficiency. Their offense kind of hovers around the 30-35 mark. They're fourth in the country in scoring margin per game. This offense is efficient. This offense can play. The one issue I have with Houston, they don't have a ton of height. Their tallest guy is Javier Francis. He plays at about 6'8", but they're so efficient and they smother you on defense that it really hasn't mattered so far. Now, we'll see what happens when they play a team like Auburn with a Dylan Cardwell, or how they handle a Cooper Flagg down low. But for the most part, their defense has been so good. They've been so well disciplined. They don't turn the ball over a ton. They are the top team in college basketball in terms of team defensive efficiency. Number one. They play great defense. They have the veteran leader in LJ Cryer. And yes, they shoot really good free throws. Also, they have an established coach who's had a lot of success and has had a lot of success there. You go look at what Kelvin Sampson has done there. He's taken them to an Elite Eight before. He's taken them to a Final Four. He's been to multiple Sweet 16s. He's won 70% of his games as a coach. Kelvin Sampson has been there, done that. He's been great. He also has a winning record in tournaments. 26-19 in the March Madness tournament in his career. So he knows how to win these big games. So when you have a big-time coach with a graduate player in LJ Cryer, a lot of talented, defensive-minded pieces around him, and you're great when you get to the free throw line, it's hard to beat a team like that. And that goes to say with all these teams, because the reason I wanted to highlight these three, look, they're in the spotlight. They're all ranked inside the top 10. We all know that these teams are good. They're all good in different ways, and they can all beat you in multiple ways. Houston, more defensive-minded. Auburn, they're going to shoot you to death. Duke, they just play everything off of Cooper Flagg. He can kill you down low, and if you double-team him, he can kick it out to Knipple. He can kick it out to Tyrese Proctor. He can kick it out to these guys. All of these teams are super efficient at what they do, but they can all beat you in a number of different ways. Now, again, I do think this NCAA tournament is wide open. I think that any team can get hot at the right time, whether a team goes on a run. Look, St. John's basketball team right now is ranked number 6 in the country because Rick Pitino is their head coach. That is a mid-major that no one's going to want to play when March Madness rolls around. For the most part, while I think there's a lot of teams that are very even, and just from what I have viewed this year, I think the Duke, Auburn, and Houston are in a class by themselves, at least right now. All right, look, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, we're going to get back into more local sports. We're going to mention the New Orleans Saints. They cut a fan favorite yesterday, and they are now paper thin at running back. We'll get into that on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
All right, go to pelicanroof.com, pelicanroof.com. One of just the coolest tools that you will see out there, right there on the homepage of the website. What will my roof cost? Well, you put it in right there, your address. It's going to pull it up on the map, and it's going to frame your home and give you an estimate right there, like on the spot, of how much they estimate your roof replacement to be. Never really seen anything else like it, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. And then, right, after you get that and you get that number and you kind of get that information, then you can get in contact with them. Again, pelicanroof.com is the website. In the very top right corner of the website, locations, contact information of how to have them out to your home. And remember, they've got an office in Lafayette. They've got an office in Baton Rouge. You're not driving back and forth. They are there in those local communities. Go to the website today, pelicanroof.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Welcome in to the best morning sports-ish show around. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of a Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Jacob, Hester, and T-Bob Hebert. Hey, right now I want to get back to the New Orleans Saints. It was announced yesterday that the Saints are cutting ties with Jamal Williams. Look, this is a guy that it was a big signing a couple years ago on paper when he joined the New Orleans Saints. He was just never able to catch on. He led the NFL in rushing touchdowns with the Lions the year before coming to New Orleans. In 2 years with the Saints, had 471 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He couldn't stay healthy, and when he was on the field, he wasn't a super productive guy. But what this move does is drastically increase your need for a running back, because you really just don't have any. Here's your running back room right now in terms of guys who have actually played. Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, and Jordan Mims is a restricted free agent. That's all you have right now. Period. So, what I want to know is, Jordan, the other day when you were filling in for Alondra, we had Nick Underhill on, and he said it seems like the Saints may go target Ashton Jeanty in round 1, and you had a pretty brash reaction, and T-Bob and Jake kind of gave you some crap for it. So I want to know now.
Correct reaction. Let's make that right.
I want to know now. With cutting Jamal Williams, you really only have 2 running backs right now, and Kendre Miller's been hit and miss anyways.
Addition by subtraction.
Does it change your opinion of drafting Ashton Jeanty 9 overall?
Nah, it would still cause a I see the words New Orleans Saints select Ashton Jeanty, Boise State, and be like I'm going to rage. Like,
it's going to be your exact reaction?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty intense.
Honestly, I might just turn the TV off. Be like, all right, I've seen enough.
Let me tell you why I actually agree with you. I've actually come around to this idea. When Jeanty's name was first brought up, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, good player. Like, do you have bigger needs than running back? Yeah, probably, but you kind of need every position. Like, you're the New Orleans Saints. You've drafted bad. You've let go of your top players. They're high caliber players on other teams now. You kind of need everything.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm with you in that. This is a very, very deep running back class. Right now, there's 2 running backs projected to go in the first round. Ashton Genty, bona fide first-round pick, and then a lot of people believe Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina is also going to be a first-round pick. But there's so many other guys out there that are just frankly under the radar. For example, Travion Henderson from Ohio State is a stud. We have seen him multiple times in college do whatever he wanted. Yep. He's got the size. Oh, and by the way, he ran a faster 40 time than Quinshon Judkins at the combine. Travion Henderson ran a 4.37 at the combine. At his size, we know the college production. That's a guy that, I mean, right now, he's probably going to go second, third round. If that, he's a guy that's a little bit under the radar. What about Caleb Johnson from Iowa? He's a hard-nosed runner. We know those Iowa offenses love to run the football. They ran their offense through Caleb Johnson, and they were actually pretty effective at it. The other day, I mentioned winners of the NFL Combine. Bashul Tutton from Virginia Tech's a guy I mentioned. 1,200 yards last season, 15 rushing touchdowns. He also ran a 4.32. He had the fastest time of any running back in this combine. He's a guy that's projected to go like 4th, 5th round right now. R.J. Harvey from UCF. He's a little bit undersized, but guys, R.J. Harvey had double-digit rushing touchdowns at UCF this year. He 1,500 yards rushing. And if you remember, coming into the year, it was supposed to be a running back duo between R.J. Harvey and Penny Boone. R.J. Harvey took over that backfield and never looked back. I mean, he was impressive, to say the least. Look, the Saints have the 9th pick in the first round of this year's NFL draft. After that, they're at pick 40 in the second round. All those guys I just mentioned will probably be there at pick 40. Caleb Johnson will be there. Travion Henderson will be there. Brashard Smith from SMU had a super productive year last year. Part of the reason SMU was able to make it into the college football playoff. Dylan Sampson may have been the best running back in the SEC.
I was waiting on you to say that. I'm like, Dylan Sampson is out there, and he was a dog.
Look, there were good running backs in the SEC all over the place. Jarquez Hunter was good at Arkansas, but Dylan Sampson, to me, stood out over everyone else.
Yeah.
And he did it for 2 seasons at Tennessee in the SEC. He's still a young guy. Look, he's 5'8", he's 200 pounds, but that's fine with me. Because at the beginning of his career, he's going to be nothing more than a change of pace back to give Alvin Kamara a blow anyways. He didn't have to be a big 6'2" bruiser. Jarquez Hunter, another guy I just mentioned, 5'9", 205. It's more than just those guys. Damian Martinez from Miami.
I like him a lot, too.
He's 6 foot. He's 217 pounds.
Yeah, he's a bruiser.
He has the size to be an every down running back in this league. Corey Kiner, who LSU fans were mentioned, they remember him very well. He's 5'10". He's 210 pounds. Really good at Cincinnati for a number of years. Kyle Monungai from Rutgers. Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. I mean, these are all guys that were every down running backs in college. This running back class is so deep. People have forgotten that Cam Skattebo is a person. Look, if I was Skattebo, I would have ran the 40 at the combine. If Cam Skattebo ran a 4.58 in the 40 at the combine, he's a second-round pick. His tape speaks for itself. What Cam Skattebo was able to do for Arizona State in that game against Texas, who coming into that game had a top 5 defense in all of college football, told me everything I need to see. I don't need to see Cam Skattebo at the underwear Olympics and the combine running the 3-cone drill or catching passes out of the backfield. I saw everything I needed to know about Cam Skattebo in that game. He was sick. He was throwing up on the sidelines. He came back. He was even better after that than he was before. He completed a long pass. He caught a long pass, mossing a defender in the process. You could not stop him in short yardage. Everything Cam Skattebo wanted to do in that game, behind an offensive line that was overmatched against a really good front in the Texas Longhorns, it told me everything I needed to see. Also, there are a number of free agent running backs this year that are available.
Well, we broke, so we're not really worried about that.
I get that, but there's affordable options.
Yeah, Saints are definitely clearance rack.
For example, Javonte Williams from the Broncos is set to be an unrestricted free agent. He's about to be 25 years old. His rookie salary was $2.2 million a year, and I don't think he played significantly better to command top dollar at running back position anyways. That's a guy you can bring in.
I want somebody fresh. You know, I'm a fantasy football guy. He never lived up to the hype, so
that's fine. But I mean,
just sour taste. It's like saying Brandon Ayuk name around me. Just
Alexander Madison's a guy. He's 26 years
come
old.
On, Taylor, come on.
Jordan, let me explain something to you about how the free agency market works. If these were top dollar free, Jordan, these guys are 25 years old. How young do you want?
No, we can get some fresh guys from college.
I understand that, but if you don't, there are other options as well.
Madison, man, he couldn't make it work with the Raiders last year. Like you got benched. What was the guy that benched him for?
They're not going to be your every down running back.
Yeah, Abdullah, nah.
They're not going to be your every down running back.
That's like getting another Jamal Williams. Like we need to get a guy that's solid. Jamal, great guy, better human than ball player, but I need ball players.
All of these guys in recent years have all been more productive than Jamal. Not Lions Jamal from 4 years ago.
Yeah, no,
past 2 or 3 years, all of these guys have been more productive.
Jamal, the signing never really made sense from the beginning because Taysom Hill was the short yardage guy, regardless.
A guy that's out there. You're gonna hate him because he's not 19 years old, but
no, he gotta be 19.
Look, A.J. Dillon from the Packers. He's had a number of big games in this league. He made $2.6 million with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
He's a guy that can come in. You need a short yardage back because Jamal Williams is gone now. And Taysom Hill's injured to all hell, and he's 35 years old. I love Ashton Jeanty. I think if the Saints drafted Ashton Jeanty, he would do good things with this organization because he's a good football player. The bigger problem I have is there are a lot of options out there, and you need a lot more. You need a pass catcher. You need a tight end. You need help on the offensive and defensive lines. You need safety help desperately. You need running backs, but, I mean, you can get a running back at pick 40. You have the 71st pick in the third round. You have the 91st pick in the third round. You have 7 picks in this year's draft. You have a lot of picks,
and all 7 have to be guys that can play immediately. Like that's how bad we are.
I know you're a big time Saints fan. It don't matter who the hell they draft this year. The Saints are going to be awful next year. My point is
starters.
Whoever you draft at running back's not going to be a starter. Alvin Kamara is going to be the starter. Thing is, grab a guy who has the ability to be an every down back that is on a rookie contract. If something happens to Kamara, he can slide right in. And then when Kamara moves on because he doesn't have a lot of years left, you already have his replacement there and waiting. And that guy will only be 24 years old, which is a little too old for Jordan, but he'll only be 24 years old.
This man said A.J. Dillon. Stop it.
A.J. Dillon's 25 years old.
He's washed, bro. He's washed. Just call it what it is.
Jordan, there's a reason he's a $2 million. Let me explain something to you.
He's just washed. I mean, bro, he's washed.
Everybody on these free agent markets.
You can claim for A.J. Dillon. I'm just letting you know he's like the Saints. We should draft the running back. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
We should 100% draft the running back.
I 100% agree.
We're already clearing shop racking. We can go get it like a tackle.
Let's say for whatever reason, after the Saints drafted 9, there's a run on running backs. Let's just say hypothetically, okay? You would not sign A.J. Dillon for $1.5 million a year?
Maybe. I still feel like you should draft a running back. Like you just named.
I get that, but the chips don't always fall perfectly.
You just named 10 running backs that are going to be there in the later rounds.
Maybe.
Okay.
And it's why I mentioned them first. They are your first option.
Look, hey, you want AJ? That's fine.
The point is,
AJ Dillon's
you have
fine,
to sign
I just
someone.
don't think AJ Dillon. I'm not.
Jordan,
that's not moving the needle.
Anything I said made you think that I like AJ Dillon over any of those guys in the draft? Because I don't.
They're trying to go like AJ. I just don't. I'm not moved by AJ Dillon or Javonte Williams. I'm just not moved.
Backup plan is free agency. It means it's not your first option. You have to draft a running back.
You should draft a running back. That's all
but Kendre Miller can't give you anything. You still need another running back outside of the draft.
I just said draft a running back.
You have to. No question about it.
Then we're agreeing on the same thing.
You might need more than one running back.
We're agreeing on the same thing. We're agreeing on the same thing. We need to draft the running back. I'm just AJ Dillon.
But I don't know if you take him first in the first round. You can't.
No, hell no.
I would go Tedero McMillan. I love him there.
He's a playmaker for sure.
I would 100%. Actually be okay. I'm coming around to Tyler Warren in the first round because he can do a little bit of everything for you. And look, the reality is Juwan Johnson's set to be a free agent. Foster Moreau's on the last year of his deal.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill's not even a tight end to begin with. He's listed as one, but he's not a true tight end anyway.
Well, he's hurt, so we ain't even worried about Taysom.
If you bring in a guy that you think can make an impact round 1, get him.
100%.
Outside of running back. There's too many good guys. Whether it's an R.J. Harvey, who I love. Whether it's, look, Bashul Tutton, awesome at the combine. Dylan Sampson, awesome at the combine. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson. All of these guys are going to be there when you pick in rounds 2. Most of them are going to be there in round 3 when you pick at 71.
Yeah.
There's no reason to draft Ashton Jeanty. I like Ashton Jeanty. I think he's a good player. I would really caution the New Orleans Saints to stay away from him. in round one. All right, going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to be joined by Ross Jackson. He was actually out there at the Combine, and our guy drove to the Combine. And first off, I'm going to find out why he did that. Secondly, we're going to chop it up with him about the New Orleans Saints. That's coming up next here on Off the Bench.
Off the bench.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
So tight, so fly. You got me lifted, you got me lifted, got me lifted, shifted higher than the ceiling. And ooh, it's the ultimate feeling. You got me lifted.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Taylor Sharp here with you Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN, sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Abear. Right now, I want to go to the phone lines, bring in Ross Jackson. He hosts Locked On Saints. He also does write-ups for us at LouisianaSports.net. Ross, how are you today, man?
What's up, buddy? Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, Ross. I wanted to kind of do a little combine recap, but last week, Matt Moscona tells me you drove to the combine in Indianapolis. Is that correct?
I did, yes.
Wow.
I love to drive, and I love long-distance drive, and so that was a long-distance drive.
How long did it take?
So it's about an 11-hour drive.
Okay, I was actually thinking it was going to be a lot more than that.
No, it's shockingly not bad. It's there's better places you could drive to in 11 hours than Indianapolis. Don't get me wrong, but Indianapolis is awesome. And so we cut it in half. We drove from New Orleans to Nashville, and then finished the drive the next day up in Indianapolis. But it was great.
How was the food scene in Indianapolis? I hear it's actually pretty underrated.
It's pretty underrated. It's good. It's a lot of steak. I'm not a red meat guy, so I don't get to enjoy it very much. But they have some pretty good seafood and stuff like that over there too. I don't typically do seafood outside of New Orleans, but that's one of the cities where I'll risk it.
Now, Ross, was this your first combine to physically go to?
No, this was my I want to say fourth. It might actually be fifth, but it was one of the two. It was like around a handful.
So, okay, kind of give me a little bit of a background of, like, the behind the scenes of the combine. Like, what's the coolest part of being there? Because, like, us at home, we'll turn on the TV and we'll see guys, run a 40-yard dash. There's a little golf clap at the background. But, like, what do you get to see while you're there?
I love the golf clap. It's funny. Like, I actually typically leave Indianapolis before the combine drills even get started. For us, it's a lot of going, kind of trying to pick up a little bit of the chit chat and everything like that, like some of the rumors that are going on, doing some of the night scene to kind of meet up and have conversations and things like that. I think you try to like steal some of those conversations as you can. But also, like, the way that the Saints do things is really unique. Like, they don't do the podium at the combine like a lot of other teams do. There's a few teams that do it this way, but they kind of do their own thing off to the side with local media only, which is really nice. And so being able to be there for that, being able to be there for, some of the conversations that are going and being able to pick the brains of people in the know around, like, hey, what's kind of going on free agent wise across the NFL, who's becoming available, who's not, all those other things. So you're trying to pick up kind of all that information from a bunch of different angles, not just the New Orleans Saints angle, because, markets could become oversaturated, which impact the way that the Saints play their, version of the market. So you kind of have to know what's going on holistically around the league in order to really understand how maybe some of the decisions that New Orleans wants to make, plans to make, or would like to make are really impacted by the overall landscape of things.
As far as, like, the combine itself, like, standouts, positive or negative, is there a guy that, like, surprised you in a positive way or, like, you thought was going to perform really well who maybe didn't? Like, what would you kind of make of it overall?
Yeah, I mean, look, I will say this was a unique combine where we saw some, I don't even remember what the number was. We saw a lot of people not participating. So that was one that kind of changed a bit of what the projection of the weekend was going to be. But Nika Manwari, the safety out of South Carolina, was absolutely incredible at the combine and really checked a lot of boxes. And my understanding was that, like, all of his interviews that he did were really solid. He obviously did well at the podiums and things like that. But, like, his testing as a whole was outstanding for the day, just in terms of the way that he measured, going out there and running a 4.4, going out there and jumping 43 inches with an 11-foot broad jump, like, just amazing performance by him. So he was probably a guy that really stood out. And I think another one that stood out that we kind of expected to be the case was Texas A&M defensive end Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart was outstanding in terms of his testing. He just lacks a lot of collegiate production. Manwari does not lack that collegiate production. So for me, he was the standout.
Yeah, he's a guy that, anytime I've heard about positive standouts, Manwari is kind of the first name out of their mouths. And also, he's 6'3", 220 at the safety position.
Right.
Like, that's a guy that's going to come off the board a lot earlier. Nick, we had Nick on yesterday. Ross Jackson joining us right now. As far as the Saints in round one, we have seen a variety of people being mocked to him. I mean, we've seen Tyler Warren, Ashton Genty. We've seen defensive linemen. In your opinion, where should the Saints go in round one?
My number one prospect for them is Keteroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. I think he's the one that has the biggest, most immediate impact. The Saints are clear that they're intending to compete here in 2025. And if you're going to do that, then go and get somebody in that first round that's immediately going to have an impact for you, right? You're probably not in the position in that case to draft somebody that you feel like you can develop some kind of project or something like that. You got to go and get a surefire guy. Keteroa McMillan is a surefire guy. He would be an excellent complement to guys like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. So he's up there. Kind of my 1B, like a really close number 2 would be Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham, should he fall. I don't know if he makes it to them. But, I mean, look, the Saints have work to do on both sides of their trenches. I think the defensive tackle class is deeper than the wide receiver class is when it comes to top talent. But if a guy like Mason Graham falls, that's a pretty easy one to get excited about. And then the last one that I'll mention, I think, is the one that was most mentioned around the New Orleans Saints in Indianapolis, was Penn State tight end Tyler Warren. I'm typically not a tight end in the first round guy or a tight end in the top 15 guy, probably more appropriately, because it's typically a position that takes a long time, a couple years to translate to the NFL. But a guy like Tyler Warren, who's already a solid blocker, which is a lot of the reasons why it's typically tougher to transition in college. You're like a pass catcher, right? You're just another wide receiver in a way, a lot of times. And then after that, when you get to the NFL, all of a sudden you have to learn protections and all this stuff. Well, Tyler Warren plays in the Big Ten. There's a lot of protection that goes on in the Big Ten, a lot of blocking that goes on in the Big Ten, the punt conference. And so I think a guy like Tyler Warren maybe can transition a little bit faster than most tight ends can. And so he could be a guy that has an immediate impact for New Orleans as well.
Ross, that kind of leads me into the next point. If it's not Tyler Warren in round one, where do you think the tight end position is, maybe like on the Saints priority list? And like, are there any guys you like maybe second, third round?
Yeah, I think it's on their priority list to address a couple of times, and that could be re-signing Juwan Johnson and a new acquisition. It could be a pair of new acquisitions. Like there's multiple ways to kind of address the spot for sure. But I think that's a spot that they're looking to address. Juwan's going into free agency. Foster Morrow as well as Taysom Hill are both coming off of injury. You've got a young guy in Dallin Holker who's really promising, but you haven't gotten to see a lot of him yet. And then you've got a couple of guys that are coming through, Trayton Welsh as well as Michael Jacobson that are coming off of, future deals and, kind of practice squad years and stuff like that. And so I would absolutely see them addressing that position. I think it's on their priority list. I don't know where it is on their priority list because it's going to depend on how deep the priority list is, right? Like they got a lot of work to do this offseason on their roster. But I do know that they want to address it multiple times. And so I think the draft makes a lot of sense. Second and third round guys, that make sense. Harold Fanning Jr. out of Bowling Green, probably the best tight end in the country when it came to production. Outstanding. A little bit undersized, though, so maybe doesn't check the boxes for New Orleans in terms of an all-around guy that has worked for Kellen Moore. So one guy that comes to mind, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for this because he's an LSU Tiger, but Mason Taylor, man, he makes sense. Look, I get it. The New Orleans Saints haven't often invested in LSU players. The last one that they drafted, if I remember correctly, it was Will Clapp years ago. So they kind of overdue. They typically do this on a rotation of like every 9 years on average. They end up selecting some LSU player. They're a little overdue on it. And I think Mason Taylor is a guy that makes sense, has that same kind of all-around perspective, can block, can catch, can run routes. I think he would be another guy that I would absolutely watch.
Ross Jackson joining us right now, host of Locked on Saints and our Saints writer for LouisianaSports.net. Ross, the good news is the Saints need every position, so you can't really go wrong. The bad news is they pretty much need every position, right? As far as a late-round target, I'm not even talking like mainly position, but like if there is a guy that falls late round and the Saints are thinking, hey, maybe best available, if there's a guy out there who's there in the late rounds, do you want the Saints to grab? Is there a guy out there?
Missouri edge rusher Johnny Walker Jr. Johnny Walker Jr. to me is a dude that is just like one of those guys that to me is going to be the steal of the draft wherever he goes, unless he skyrockets, right? If he skyrockets, then obviously things change, but because then the expectations will be higher. But if he's drafted in day 3, 6'3", 250-ish pound stand-up edge rusher, was the Cotton Bowl defensive player, defensive MVP when Missouri played in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. 9.5 sacks last season. I think he had 2 sacks against Alabama and everything. He forced 3 fumbles, so he affects the ball when he gets to the players as well. and is just a hyper athletic player. I think in Brandon Staley's defense in particular, where you're looking for that type of mold, the pass rusher, the stand-up speed pass rusher, the Leonard Floyd type, if you're able to get a Johnny Walker Jr. in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, I don't care. You do it. you roll that dice. You got to trade up into the 5th to do it. If you got to stay put in the 6th to do it, whatever it is, if you're able to get into that day 3 range, I think he's a guy that's well worth investing in at that point. And I'll also throw in also one of my favorite names in the draft, by the way, Mac McWilliams.
Great name.
Isn't that awesome, dude? Mac McWilliams, the cornerback out of UCF, like great physical build, has a lot of production, makes a lot of plays at the ball, good scheme versatility playing in that Central Florida defense. I think he's another one that I would highlight as well.
Ross, before I get you out of here, look, the Saints, since hiring Kellen Moore, they've hired Brandon Staley as DC. You got Doug Nussmeier as OC. They just announced they're bringing in Scott Linehan. You hire Bo Davis away from LSU. What have you made of the staff that Kellen Moore has put together so far?
Yeah, I like the structure of the staff. I think there's 2 things to highlight. I think there's the hires, which are the individual names of those coaches and what their backgrounds are and all those other things. I like the fact that he's got 2, former head coaches on his coaching staff. I like the fact that he brought Doug Nussmeier back to Louisiana and did it with bringing him in as a guy that kind of balances him out a little bit as he describes it. But the other piece that I really like is the structure of the coaching staff, particularly over on the defensive side. The Saints feel like with their hires that they're going to maybe have like a passing game coordinator, a safeties coach, and a cornerbacks coach, as opposed to a defensive backs coach. And I like that. I like being able to translate the game immediately to one position group. It sounds like or looks like they might have like an inside linebacker versus outside linebacker coach, which kind of shows you a little bit about what their plans are for their pass rush and changing that. So I think the structure of the defensive coaching staff, which is really replicating what Brandon Staley had in 2020 with the Los Angeles Rams, I think shows you exactly what it is that this team is looking to do over on the defensive side. So that's the other thing that I'd highlight that I think is a plus in terms of the way that they've structured this roster. But the former head coaches on the coaching staff roster with a first-time head coach, I think is an excellent move by Kellen Moore.
All right, Ross Jackson, our guest right now. Ross, thanks for hopping on with me today, man.
Hey, always a pleasure, bud. Take care, stay safe. Thanks so much for having me on. I'll talk to you here soon.
Absolutely. That's Ross Jackson with Locked On Saints and our Saints staff writer here at LouisianaSports.net. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll have a short segment to wrap things up here, hour number 2 of Off the Bench on the other side.
Off the Bench.
TrashRangers.com. TrashRangers.com. Bottom left of the website, you can sign up for residential service. Right in the middle of the website, commercial service. And then in the bottom right, sign up for that roll-off dumpster. Now, if you don't know what size roll-off dumpster you need, you've got a project at your home or your business, you pick up the phone, you give Trash Rangers a call. That is 225-363-9053. Hey, here's what I got going on. What do you think I need? And they're going to make sure you have the right size dumpster for your job. And look, I am jealous if you get to work with Trash Rangers because so many different things that they do for you, the customer. That's what they're all about. And that's why they're in the community so many different times. And you'll see them, support youth baseball teams, basketball, like whatever it is. They're all about you. Reliable and hassle-free trash removal services here in South Louisiana. Again, go to the website today to sign up, TrashRangers.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
You know, we talked about this a little bit Monday. I was in a wedding over the weekend. When this song comes on, you can be tired, you can be busy, your hands can be full with a plate of food. This song comes on, it's almost a requirement to get out there and go on the dance floor. It got a little wild on the dance floor at the end of the night, and I believe this song was the culprit of it all. This was kind of the first one that finally got everybody off their butts and onto the floor. Just an incredible song. You want to talk about one-hit wonders? This one here's got to be close to the top.
No, Baby Bash is not a one-hit wonder.
I don't know. Is it?
Sugar, sugar, how you get so fly.
That's Baby Bash?
That's Baby Bash. Baby Bash is not a one-hit wonder.
I had no idea that was Baby. It doesn't sound like him.
It is him.
Well,
a disappointing wedding that it took this song all the way at the end of the night to get everybody out there.
Well, it wasn't the end of the night per se. I mean, it was probably. I mean, we had an hour and a half left of the reception at that point. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was. We had a good last 90 minutes. It was a good time. Okay, look, we only have about 2 minutes to go before we have to hit that hard break. I want to mention something that happened yesterday afternoon right after we got off the air. The Los Angeles Chargers have released defensive end Joey Bosa. He was the longest tenured player, and he was the last player that was left over from before they were in L.A. when they moved to San Diego to L.A. back in 2017. He was the last remaining player. Look, he's a guy that's still just 29 years old. He was a number 3 pick in the 2016 draft. 72 career sacks. That puts him second in franchise history behind Leslie O'Neal. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2016, 10.5 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss. They gave him a $135 million contract extension in 2020. And it's one of those things that after you give a guy a lot of money, injuries and whatever else is the case, it's going to keep him off the field, keeps him off the field. That's the issue with Joey Bosa. Bosa was always a really talented player when he was on the field. I mean, you hear Jacob Hester on this show all the time talk about Joey Bosa. He's not always available. And that was the issue. I mean, again, when he was healthy, he remained one of their most effective pass rushers. In the playoff loss of this past year to the Houston Texans, he had 6 pressures. He had a sack on C.J. Stroud, but he's just been in and out of the lineup so much. They cut him. That saves them almost $26 million in cap space. Look, Bosa said at one time he wanted to be a Charger for life, but look, they cut him. The Chargers now have $90.6 million in cap space. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. I'm going to be really interested to see where Joey Bosa goes. One, because he's still a relatively young player at 29 years old. He's been a productive player when healthy and when on the field. He's been in and out of the lineup for injuries. Also, Max Crosby just completely reset the defensive end market yesterday. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. He has a $100 million contract, $85 million of it guaranteed. Look, Micah Parsons still needs a new deal. Joey Bosa's going somewhere. Myles Garrett, if he gets traded somewhere, is his deal going to be restructured? How are these things going to look? It's always interesting when one guy gets paid a ton of money at one position and there's still a lot of other top talent left to go. It'll be interesting to see where Bosa goes, what kind of money he gets, Parsons, Garrett, all these guys. All right, look, we have one more hour left. We're going to have Big Deal or No Big Deal at 9 a.m. and then 9:15, our Munchie segment with Chef Michael Johnson.
Off the bench.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Good morning, Baton Rouge. It is 9 a.m. It's 54 degrees outside. It's a little cloudy, mostly sunny. Stepped outside and went and saw for myself. Hour number three, we're going to do Big Deal or No Big Deal and talk to Chef Michael Johnson on Munchies. So hour number 3, OTB, starts now.
Let's go, baby, let's go. All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome in, hour number 3, Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharper with you in place of Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. They will be back next week. So we're here with you for one more hour today and tomorrow as well. I want to kind of recap hours 1 and 2. Hour 1, we were very LSU heavy. We led recapping the LSU baseball game. Complete turnaround from the 11-9 near loss that they had against North Dakota State on Tuesday night. LSU run rules the Bison 13-3 in 7 innings last night. Did my position preview for LSU spring practice as that gets started on Saturday. We took a deep dive into the LSU DB position. Talked a little New Orleans Saints NFL draft in the second hour. We were joined by Ross Jackson. He kind of gave us a behind-the-scenes look of what it's like at the NFL Combine. In hour number 3, we're going to have some fun. We got Big Deal or No Big Deal coming up. LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson is in today at 9:15, his normal spot for that Munchie segment. And then, of course, we will close things out as we do every day with Ask the Bench. Right now, though, let's get it started with some Big Deal or No Big Deal.
Big deal. Ain't no big deal.
Big deal. No big deal. Big deal.
No big deal. No big deal. No big deal.
Big deal or no big deal? Okay, so at the Oscars on Sunday night, Adrian Brody won Best Actor for his role in the movie The Brutalist. Okay, well, Conclave, about electing a new pope and these guys were stabbing each other in the back, was up for it as well. And Ralph Fiennes, I believe that's how you say his last name, he's been in a ton of stuff. He played Voldemort in Harry Potter. He's been in everything. A lot of people thought he should have won. Well, apparently 2 reports came out that multiple Oscars voters said they did not vote for him because he won an Oscar for Best Actor in Schindler's List way back in the day. There's only one problem. Ralph did not win the Oscar for Best Actor back in Schindler's List, so he may have gotten snubbed for no reason. Big deal or no big deal?
I think that's a big deal because Ralph honestly does not get the love that he deserves.
He's incredible.
He is an incredible actor. And using the excuse that he already won one is like such a stupid excuse. Like,
yeah, because first off, give it to the person who deserves it regardless.
Yes. I don't think, I'm looking him up right now. I don't think he's ever won an Oscar.
He has not.
So that's just messed up. And I never saw Adrian Brody's movie. What movie was
Brutalist?
it? The Brutalist.
I've never seen it either.
I saw some of Conclave. So
Conclave's pretty good.
Yeah.
I started watching it the other day.
Ralph, he has been snubbed his entire career. So I feel bad for him. I think that's a huge deal. I think that the Oscars are just so stupid. Like all of the winners, I don't think anybody agreed.
No.
Even on the internet with like any of them. So it's just, what are y'all doing?
So I checked. He won a BAFTA award for Best Actor in Schindler's List.
Yeah.
That's not an Oscar. So
No.
first off, like Alondra said, give it to whoever deserves it, regardless of if they've won 0, if they've won 5.
Meritocracy is dead.
Secondly, you didn't go check to make sure you were right when you thought he won the Oscar for Best Actor on Schindler's List?
Right.
What the hell are we doing here? So not only are you not voting honestly and merit-based, you don't even have your facts correct on who's won an Oscar and who hasn't. Yeah, this is a big deal. The Oscars voting is a joke. We talked about it on Monday. It's always kind of like, which movie's the most artsy and all this. Like, I got to be honest, the best film that wins every year, I feel like it's never actually the best film. Like, the movie that everyone likes, that everyone talks about, like, never actually wins for best film. I think this is a big deal. Laundry, you got one?
Yeah, I do. Big deal or no big deal? The phones that Waj was dropping Waj bombs on, he's auctioning them off. So you can buy the phone that Waj announced the 2021 NBA Finals Suns versus Bucks credential. Oh, no, you can buy his credential for $750. You can buy his credential to the 2024 NBA Finals for $900. You can buy his draft credential when Wembanyama was drafted for $925. His iPhone used for the farewell post and final NBA draft, $1,750. iPhone used for the 2023 draft lottery, $2,700. And second most expensive one, iPhone used to break the news that the NBA suspended its season due to COVID, $3,250. Can you guess which wash bomb that he used the phone for was the most expensive? I think it's a little surprising, but
The most expensive one?
the most expensive wash bomb that he dropped.
That'd be like, what, 5K?
Anthony
It's
Davis to the
5K.
Lakers.
Yeah, 5K.
Yeah.
Was it Anthony Davis
It
to the
was a
Lakers?
3-trade team involving Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Kevin Durant, Irving, and Anthony Davis in 2019. It's $5,000 for that iPhone.
Okay, so this is fine. I get it that people want like sports memorabilia, but like, it's not. Who cares? I guess is my point. Like, it's a cell phone. First off, like, Woj, great. Look, everybody loved the good Woj bombs and all that. He's not like that famous.
Right.
Like 15 years from now, people are gonna be like, Adrian Wojnarowski used this to tweet out the Anthony Davis trade. Like,
Yeah. So
who
let me tell you
actually
what
cares?
let me tell you what he's auctioning them off for.
Okay.
As you know, he is, or maybe you don't know, he's now the general manager for his old alma mater, St. Bonaventure
Yep,
University.
the Bonnies.
So all the money is going to their NIL fund.
Okay, I thought you were gonna make me feel bad and be like, oh, it's going to charity, it's going to some
It's going
disease
to
research.
the
I'm
NIL
paying
fund.
$5,000 for a useless cell phone used by Adrian Wojnarowski to help out the St. Bonaventure NIL fund?
Yes.
Absolutely not. This is a big deal that, first off, he's pricing it that much. And I know somebody out there is going to be like, oh, $5,000, what a steal. I'm going to buy that old phone.
yeah.
Like,
It is.
it's not
There's a
worth
market,
anything.
yeah.
That phone is never going to appreciate in value.
No.
Like 10 years from now, nobody's going to care
No.
what he tweeted out about
It's
what
not
trade.
an investment at all.
They're not even going to remember who broke the news.
What are you
10
going to do
years
with the
from now.
phone?
What are you going to do with a credential to the NBA Finals?
Right, it doesn't even have your name on it. Like me, I kept my Super Bowl credential, but it at least has my name on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even that, like, you're not going to sell. It's not worth
No,
anything.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm agreeing with you, but like, what are you gonna do with it?
Big
Call
deal that he
somebody,
thought
like-
this was a good idea.
Big deal that it's for the NIL fund, I think.
Jordan, you got one?
Yeah. Big deal or no big deal. So Travis Scott was at the Elimination Chamber for WWE, and he.
No big deal. Just kidding.
Oh well, he smacked Cody Rhodes pretty hard and ruptured his eardrum and gave him a black eye.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Does he not know it's supposed to be fake?
Yeah. So big deal or no big deal. Ruptured eardrum and a black eye from a smack by Travis
I
Scott.
mean, that sounds pretty painful. I would say that's a big deal. Also, do you not know that it's supposed to be fake and you're not supposed to really slap the out of somebody?
Also, like, you're Travis Scott and you slapped Cody Rhodes. Like, okay, I get it. Wrestling's fake. Cody Rhodes could kick your ass.
Right.
Like, let's just point that out right now. Like, it's one thing for like a wrestler to be like, oh, you know, I missed on a move and I did this and somebody got hurt. You're going to come into the WWE as a guest.
Yeah.
Show your butt like that, slap somebody, rupture their eardrum, give them a black eye, and just walk off like nothing happened. Like, no, this is a huge deal. Like, it's stuff like this where you don't want to bring celebrities back in it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Like, he
some
doesn't
people
know when
take
to
it
cut
a
it, yeah.
little too serious.
But
Like,
then Bad Bunny does a great job doing it.
yeah, some people are able to handle it
Yeah.
for sure. But like, I can't imagine what Cody Rhodes thought. Like, he was like, "There's
Can't hear nothing."
no way this is actually happening right
Yeah.
now." Like.
I wonder.
You're Travis Scott. You're a rapper. You're not in the WWE. You're a guest here. You're not a WWE wrestler. You can't be doing that. No, that's a big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah, big deal. And stupid.
And my next.
Yeah,
next
you can
one
go again if you get another.
will have to be Happy Gilmore 2. Will release on Netflix on July 25th. Big deal or no big deal?
No big
No
deal,
big
guys.
deal.
This is going to be one of the worst movies you ever watch. Mark, no. Mark my words.
Yeah.
First off, Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin are 60 years old right now.
They are old.
What is
Yeah.
their role going to be? Like, I'm hoping it's not just like one of those things where it's like, oh, well, Happy's the coach now, and like Happy
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
got a
takes
little
over
understudy or
Chubbs'
something,
role.
yeah.
Like, I don't want that. What I want is something like Shooter McGavin's golf career went down the toilet after he lost
Like
to
he's
Happy.
bounding down kind
He
of thing.
never recovered.
Yeah.
Happy went on, to have like a Tiger Woods like super successful golf career. Shooter never got over it. Shooter's insane now, and like Shooter needs that rematch. I'm hoping it's something like that, and not just like the exact same movie with just different people in it. Yeah, something like that. At least something different. It may be a miss. It will likely be a miss regardless. But
Netflix only.
We at least need something like that.
Yeah.
No big deal. I'm sick of sequels, sick of remakes. Like, come up with something new, you know?
Especially if it's a sequel 20 years, 30 years
What are
after
we
the
doing?
original.
What
It's
are
not
we
going to be
doing?
good. Like, it's not.
Did we talk about Max Crosby already?
I mean, you can mention it again.
Okay, big deal or no big deal. Max Crosby staying with the Raiders on a record-breaking 3-year, $106.5 million deal. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It completely resets
I would say he's the face of the Raiders.
Yeah, well, it completely resets the market for all these pass rushers that are up for new
true,
contracts
too.
as well. Like I just mentioned, Joey Bosa got cut. He's going to be looking for a new deal. Is he going to get the Max Crosby deal? No, but he's going to get a lot more than he was going to get before this deal. Micah Parsons is up for a new contract. He has to get paid. What's his deal going to look like? Myles Garrett wants to be traded out of Cleveland, and his contract with them's almost up anyways. What's his deal going to look like? Because honestly, like Myles Garrett's more accomplished than most of the other guys I just mentioned as far as longevity and production in this league. This is a huge deal, in my opinion. I mean, this completely resets the pass rusher market in a market that was already getting the bag anyways. All right. One more big deal or no big deal for me. Big deal or no big deal. Speaking of record-breaking contracts, the Philadelphia Eagles have given Saquon Barkley a 2-year, $41.5 million deal, making him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. Big deal or no big deal?
Very big deal, because it's kind of defeating the narrative that running backs don't matter. I mean, let's call it what it is. Saquon deserves this bag. Like, regardless of the fact the man came in, showed up, almost broke the rushing yard record, and got a Super Bowl on top of that. Reward him. Paid him. Shout out Saquon. So I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal. Saquon is obviously one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league right now. So he needed to be paid, and the Giants never did it. So what someone else won't do, someone else will. So big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah, definitely a big deal for me. Not only did Saquon deserve it, look, he had one of the most dominating years we've ever seen in the NFL.
Yeah.
He almost broke the rushing record. He would have if they wouldn't have taken him out that last game.
Yes.
Still hated that they did that. They are lucky that they won the Super Bowl. He wins the Super Bowl. That offense is kind of based around him. But here's a bigger deal than that. Saquon Barkley, about $20 million a year, $21 million a year, give or take. He's the highest paid running back in NFL history. He would be the 18th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
He would be right in front of Mike Evans.
Wow. Damn.
That's a bigger deal to me.
Yeah,
Look, I get it. You could say running backs are a dime a dozen. We just talked about how deep the running back class is. I totally understand that. But a guy like Saquon Barkley, there's 18 receivers in there, or 17 receivers in the NFL that are making more money than him. No way. I mean, come on. Saquon does more than just run the ball. He catches the ball out of the backfield. It's a lot like McCaffrey when McCaffrey got the big deal. That wound up working out until McCaffrey got hurt this past year. Like, McCaffrey was great. They went to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but, I mean, he was still super productive for them. Like, to have the running back market, I get that he has now reset the market and all that. It's still a little too low. I mean, for the highest paid running back in NFL history to be the 18th highest paid wide receiver is a little shocking to me. I don't like it. I mean, I get that it's a step in the right direction, but I mean, I'm still one of those people that believes running backs matter in this league. Now, look, of course, a lot of different things have to happen, right? You have to have a quarterback that's competent or teams are going to key in on you. You have to have a good running game, but like, you could say that about every position. The wide receivers are so dependent on how good their quarterback is. If you got a quarterback that ain't no good, you're not getting the ball anyways. Why are you making all that money? If a quarterback doesn't have a good offensive line in front of him, he's not going to have a whole heck of a lot of time to throw the ball. They're making excuses to Caleb Williams last year saying his offensive line wasn't better. They just traded for Joe Thuney. They're trying to shore up that position. Like, I get it. They're like, oh, well, running backs are only as good as their offensive line. I mean, isn't kind of everybody always dependent on another position? Like, I get that the shelf life's not long for running backs in the NFL like it is other positions, but they are still super impactful. That is a big deal for me. Anybody else have one before we go?
Nope.
All right. That'll do it for Big Deal or No Big Deal. When we get back, we'll have our Munchies segment. LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson hops on. Get your Munchies questions in the chat. That's coming up on the other side. Here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. if you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you're renting, and we've been telling you the last couple of weeks, and well, next week is here, but if you've got a trip for Mardi Gras break, it is not too late. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in the rental department, and if you need a mid-size SUV, a full-size SUV, van, truck, hybrid, sedan, doesn't matter. Everything's available in that rental process, so make sure to get that done. But of course, if you're buying new or leasing, well, actually, maybe not leasing. Maybe you go some places and you only have like 3 options, one in each category. That's not the case over at All Star. T-Bob and I have both taken full advantage of the rental process, leasing a vehicle, buying new. All 3, everything's going to be available. And we always tell you they have something for everybody. No matter what your needs are, what your family's needs are, they have got you taken care of. So go check out the full selection of vehicles at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
Lucy Lou, with my girl Drew, Cameron D and Destiny, Charlie's Angels, come on. Question, tell me.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Only ring your celly when I'm feeling lonely. When it's all over, please get up and leave. Question, tell me how you feel about this. Try to control.
Welcome back in Thursday edition of Off the Bench. It's Thursday at 9:15, which means it's time to do one thing. It's our Munchies segment with LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson.
Get ready to tantalize your taste buds and leave this segment hungry. This is Munchies with Executive Chef Michael Johnson. Let's eat.
Chef, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Taylor. How are you?
I am doing well. Busy week. We're filling in for Jake and T-Bob. T-Bob has been in Disney World for 6 days now. I don't know how you're able to manage that with 3 kids. Jake, more relaxing. He's on a cruise, but that's T-Bob for you. Chef, a lot of questions for you right now. The first one is #Munchies. Chef, I have a venison neck from this past season. I've seen some recipes for stews or roast, but what would you suggest I do with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think stewing and roasting is probably the best. You said a neck, yeah?
Yeah, venison neck.
Yeah, the neck is actually kind of a soft. You can also lay it flat like a flank steak and grill it pretty quickly and get away with it doing like flank style grilled meats. Marinate it, put some olive oil and cilantro and lemon juice and garlic with it, and do some tacos or something like that. Because you can grill it pretty quickly as well. Usually cuts of meat like that, you have to do one of two things: grill it very hot very quickly so that it doesn't get tough and tense, or stew it down really slow so that it loosens all the connective tissues. But I think either one of those two things, cooking it like flank style and slicing it on the bias. So when you cut something on the bias, and what I mean is on the bias is at an angle, right? So if you cut something straight up and down, the connective tissues are at 100%. If you cut it on the bias at like a 30 to 40%, depending on how sharply you cut that, you're reducing the amount of connective tissues that are stacked on top of each other, and so it takes a tougher cut and makes it into a more tender cut for the mouth. By the way, T-Bob being at Disney World for a week, I'm surprised we haven't heard about this in the news somehow.
So it's funny. He just got hired on to do a sports show with Jim Rome. It's an hour. And his first day was last Thursday, the day before he left for Disney, but he's still having to do it. He didn't want to take the vacation right when he got the new gig. So, he is pulling up his laptop, live streaming it or whatever, in full Disney attire, doing the Jim Rome show live from Disney World, if you can imagine what that's like.
Oh, I can.
Yeah. #Munchies. What type of rice do you use in your jambalaya?
So we use I only use one rice here, really, or one normal grain rice, and we use it's actually a high protein rice for the athletes. So it's Parish Rice is the name of the company, but so they have a type of rice that has a higher protein value than normal rice does, and so you don't have to eat as much rice to get the same amount of protein into your body. It's Louisiana grown rice, and I really love it because of the protein value that it adds to the diet. It's also a lower glycemic index rice, which means that it's healthier for, say, like diabetes or people who are super susceptible to blood sugars. So it's just the one that we chose because it's right for our community that we're serving here.
#Munchies. We were doing a crawfish boil to kick off our son's spring break this weekend. Does Chef add anything out of the norm to his boils?
Somebody convinced me to drop a pineapple down in a crawfish
boil
a while back, and it turned out really great. The pineapple itself, I core the pineapple, leave the skin on, and put it in, probably after the first batch of crawfish, and just let that thing simmer in there for like 10 or 15 minutes. And the spice from the boil gets into the sweetness of the pineapple, and the sweetness of the pineapple doesn't impact the boil as much. But man, that sweet and spicy contrast is something I really like. I've also not with the pineapple, but I've also taken. It's called John, so it's DJON-DJON, and it's a black mushroom base, and you use black mushroom a lot in Caribbean style cooking, and so I've put John mushroom cubes down into a crawfish boil before, and it turns the water like muddy brown, but the flavor that comes from it is what you might consider umami. It's really I don't know, man, it's just tasty, it doesn't taste like mushrooms, it tastes umami, and I really enjoyed that.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I used to hate Brussels sprouts always. I mean, I feel like every kid at one point did, but I didn't like them all the way through college. Went to a crawfish boil one time. They dropped Brussels sprouts in there. Probably to this day, the best thing I've had in there, and now I eat Brussels sprouts all the time. So very, very
I
similar.
would definitely do that. Yeah, definitely I would do that. I like and in similar fashion to me. You know, like when my mom was serving me Brussels sprouts as a kid, I thought she hated me. You know, like what did I do wrong? Yeah, but I tear Brussels sprouts up now. Yeah.
Hashtag Munchies. What vegetables would be good to grow in Louisiana once spring begins?
Gosh, that's a good one. You know, well, in spring, I mean, you got so much stuff. Like in the wintertime right now, a lot of the stuff that we like to grill is like cauliflower. Like we'll take cauliflower and slice it into thick steaks and roast that kind of like you do a steak, seared off on the grill. One of my favorite things this time of year, we have a really great mushroom partner that we'll take lion's mane mushrooms. They grow something that's, I mean, it looks like a softball. And you can take and press those down and oil them really well or butter them very well. We don't use butter necessarily here, but oil them very well and press that down on a flat grill or a skillet or something, and it absorbs that butter in and gets a nice brown color on it. And lion's mane mushrooms are absolutely delicious. Not only that, like lion's mane, when you consume them enough, it helps rebuild brain cell structure. So it has a health benefit to it as well.
It's funny you mentioned that. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, our own T-Bob Abear started pouring lion's mane in his morning coffee, and he swears by it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, you know, and we use them a lot here. We buy mushrooms out of St. Francisville from this little small kind of boutique place called Maggie's Mushrooms, and I've been buying my mushrooms from them since I got here because of the quality of the mushroom that they have. And you know, they have because they propagate their own mushrooms, they grow them indoors. You know, they have them year round. This time of year, as the weather's starting to develop, you can get out and start hunting, you know, morels and chanterelles, which are fantastic. I mean, this time of year, if you can find morels and chanterelles, you know, going into the spring and when it's cool and moist, man, that's definitely something I'll throw in the pan as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because I always thought T-Bob was full of it when he started talking about the lion's mane. So now I'm going to believe him and give him a little bit more credit. All thanks to you.
Yeah, there's definitely science behind it for sure.
Hashtag Munchies, best way to cook prime rib sliders.
Oh, gosh. Well, you know, the sliders is kind of a secondary thing to me. It's how you prepare the prime rib, right? And I mean, it's low and low. And I also like to take some rendered fat and get it screaming hot. And while the rib is in the oven, about every 45 minutes, ladle that screaming hot fat over the outside of the rib, and it helps crisp the skin on the outside up so that it gives it a little mouthfeel. And you know, sliders for me, that's almost a day two thing, right? Because I'm going to cut big, thick steaks out of the person and enjoy it that way. And then, you know, like once the rib is almost, you know, like you've gotten your fill and you're cooling it off, you know, put it in the refrigerator and then slice it thin like deli meat the next day and make like a prime rib, like a French dip Philly style, you know, slider that you can dip and you know, like sliders, I'm probably going to put it on a piece of ciabatta, something that holds together well when you dip it into like some au jus, so that, you know, it absorbs the liquid and it doesn't absolutely fall apart. That to me is a day two prime rib sandwich.
That kind of brings us right into the next one. Somebody asked, hashtag Munchies, best bun for home grilled burgers.
Yeah, so I like brioche buns the best. It has a little egg in it. Of course, these days it's probably going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Because of the price of eggs. But I like a brioche bun for my burgers. They just have a sponginess. You know, when they're cold, they're firm. But once you put them on the grill or the pan or whatever and heat them up a little bit, they get nice and spongy. But they tolerate and absorb, you know, the fats and the liquids that come out of the burger, out of the pickles, you know, the ketchup, all that stuff kind of absorbs in. So it's not as much squeezing out the sides as it is being embraced inside of the sandwich. You know, and that's you want all that flavor when you're eating it.
Hashtag Munchies, how do you make your shrimp or crawfish stock?
Very quickly. So shrimp and crawfish both are what you would call a short stock. So little oil in the bottom of the pan, and you go in with your mirepoix or your Trinity as you normally do. You know, like the firmer things first, working from the firm vegetables into the softer vegetables. Garlic's going to go in pretty late. And actually, before you put your garlic in, is when you want to put your shells in, and you're actually going to saute your shells in the oil, and it's heating those shells to the point they're releasing their essential oils and a lot of their flavor, and you're actually trying to kind of brown and roast the shells in the bottom of a saute pan. And once you have your veggies, and that's also another important thing, that you need to cook your veggies to a certain point to where they're not steaming as much. And sometimes people will actually start with the shells first and then put their veggies in, because if you put your shells in on top of the veggies and they haven't sauteed well enough and they haven't lost enough liquid, you're actually going to steam the shells, and that doesn't do the same thing. You're wanting a dry heat, not a moist heat method when you're cooking. And so the methodology matters. You're trying to brown the shells. You're trying to release the essential oils from the shells that are in there, and get them hot enough that they're actually roasting and developing a color to them, and then build on top of that. And because there's no gelatin inside of the shells, you can simmer that and most stocks you simmer for a long period of time. You can actually turn a shrimp or crawfish stock up to a not a rolling boil, but like a low boil to improve the flavor of it. And you only need to cook it for about 30 minutes versus 13 hours. So you can make a shrimp stock really quickly and improve the flavor of a dish. Crawfish the same. As a matter of fact, shellfish as a whole, because you're not trying to cook the gelatin out of the deepness of the bones or the knots or the knuckles of the bones and such. You're just trying to impart the flavor of the shell into the liquid, and that can happen pretty quickly.
Hashtag Munchies. Is chickpea pasta healthier than normal pasta?
It's good for gluten-free people. I'd have to look at the protein value of it, this comparison from flour or it depends on what kind of pasta. There's whole grain pasta that's super healthy for you. I think, it healthier, it's kind of a buzzword, right? Like if you have a gluten allergy, yes, it's healthier for you. I think that you have to look at the protein values and decide, what's important for you and your diet. To say it's healthier, it is healthy, yes. But healthier than normal pasta. It depends on what kind of flour you're using. It depends on your diet, what you're trying to accomplish with your diet, right?
All right, Shep, before we get you out of here, save this one for last, because I don't think we've ever had this question asked. If you were asked to cook a meal for peace talks between Russia, Ukraine, and Donald Trump, what would you prepare?
Well, we're going to start with a little vodka, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think that's just going to warm things up and soothe things down a little bit. That's a fantastic question, and I don't know. I think that's a big question, honestly, because I think that it has to have some Russian foods in there for sure, and I don't know what to expect from Donald Trump. I try to stay out of the politics as much as I can, but it's all around you. And while I think there are some good things that he's getting done, like what to feed the president, it's probably going to be an all-American steak and then some Russian sides or something, or maybe a comparison of food, because I'd be interested to see if you prepared both Russian food and American food and put it on the table, if the Russian piece of the table would actually try the American food and vice versa of President Trump. So I think that's a pretty loaded question, honestly. That's going to take a little bit more than a shot of vodka to soothe, but I don't think that it would hurt.
That was a perfect answer. I appreciate it. Chef Michael Johnson, I think we'll end it on that one. I don't think we're going to get any better ones than that right there. Look, thank you so much for hopping on with us today.
Take care, Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Chef Michael Johnson, LSU executive chef, right there for our Munchies segment. Some interesting questions today. And also, he says lion's mane actually does work, so we got to stop giving our guy T-Bob Hebert such a hard time.
I didn't believe him.
No, I didn't. When he brought up lion's mane, you and I make eye contact.
Right.
I'm like,
but he's like, T-Bob's like, it rebuilds brain cells. And I'm like, dude, you're lying. And then Chef said it, so I'm like, okay, I think I believe T-Bob now, but I don't think it's working on T.
I don't think it's been long enough. Has it been long enough, though, is the thing. We'll see what he is when he gets back. Now, did he take off lion's mane for the trip? Did he continue to do it? That'll be the big question when he gets back. All right, look, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, just a few more segments left on OTB. Stay tuned. You're on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Welcome in to the best morning sports-ish show around. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
BoudreauxElectrical.com, but also just type in whatever your search engine is. You can type in Boudreaux's Electrical and you'll see the reviews that they get, right? 5 out of 5. There's no 4 stars. There's no 3 stars. There's no 2 stars, speaking of recruiting. It's only 5 stars. And we did this, I'd say 3 weeks ago, and it was like, I had like 49 reviews. It's over 70 something right now, just 3 weeks later, because you're hearing about Boudreaux's. They've been doing this for so long, and you know what you are going to get every single time. You're going to get a 5-star effort and a 5-star player every single time from Boudreaux. So check those reviews out on Google. Also, go to their website, boudreauxelectrical.com. You can set up your appointment. You can see their contact information. It's right there in the bottom right corner of the website, boudreauxelectrical.com. More power, more protection.
Welcome back into Off the Bench. A little bit of a shorter segment here we're going to have. We went along with Chef, but it was just too good to pass up. Excellent Munchies questions today. Yesterday, Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports put out an article listing one key free agent each NFL team can least afford to lose. And look, when you go down the list, it's the usual suspects, right? It's tackle Ronnie Stanley for the Baltimore Ravens. When you go down to the Cincinnati Bengals, it's T. Higgins, who they have since franchise tagged. Jedrick Wills, the left tackle of the Browns. It makes sense when you look at the Cowboys. O.C. and Diggy Zua, who they actually just re-signed to an $80 million extension hours before that franchise tag deadline. So it's the usual suspects. When you go down to the New Orleans Saints, Cody Benjamin listed Paulson Adebo, the cornerback, as the most important need. He mentions, look, Chase Young would give them a much-needed long-term promise on the edge, but Adebo is arguably just as important as an experienced 25-year-old cover man, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, look, he mentions Chase Young. When you go look at Chase Young, he played in 17 games this year. He had 5.5 sacks. He had 31 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss. He was fine. He had a really solid season, and more importantly, he was able to stay healthy for the most part. But Paulson Adebo, what he means for this team is cannot be measured. He's been in New Orleans for 4 years, okay? He has 254 tackles at the cornerback position, 10 interceptions, and 150 return yards. This past season, 3 interceptions. He turned that into 68 yards. You don't have Marshawn Lattimore walking through that door anymore. We've talked all week long, whether it's draft segments, free agent segments, whatnot, about how the Saints pretty much need everything in the draft. If you have one position that you feel okay about, at least starter-wise, it might be the cornerback position with Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. Now, behind them, it'll get a little iffy, but you have Kool-Aid McKinstry there as well. Without Paulson Adebo, you're putting Alontae Taylor on the outside, who has played a lot more nickel in his NFL career so far than on the outside, even though I don't think Alontae Taylor is going to have any problem doing that. And then you throw Kool-Aid McKinstry in there into the fire. What Paulson Adebo does is allows you to put all 3 of those guys on the same field at the same time. You can keep Alontae Taylor in the nickel. If you don't re-sign Paulson Adebo, your need for corner shoots up. Because sure, you still have McKinstry and Taylor, but you don't really have anything behind them in terms of experienced players on your roster. And look, speaking of Paulson Adebo and the New Orleans Saints, I kept scrolling a little bit further on this list. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, he lists Zach Bond as the most important free agent to make sure that you re-sign. And look, it is something we have talked about ad nauseum on this show, other shows. The fact that you let Zach Bond walk out of that building for nothing is just mind-blowing, to say the least. I mean, this guy was a finalist for NFL Defensive Player of the Year this year. He had 151 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and an interception at the middle linebacker position. I mean, by all accounts, he was one of the best middle linebackers, if not the best, in the NFL. And you let him walk out the door. And you see it because, okay, for the Bengals, it was T. Higgins, but the only reason it's not Trey Hendrickson is because it's been announced that they're already going to give him an extension. He's a high priority on that team. He's another guy that you let walk out of your building. So, what does that mean for the Saints going forward? Will they re-sign Chase Young as well? Will they re-sign Paulson Adebo? I think you have to re-sign Paulson Adebo. Chase Young, I'm good with one way or the other. I think that if you hold on to him, it'll give you a solid piece on the defensive line, a place you need help. If not, you can grab somebody in the draft. It's a pretty deep pass rusher draft. I mean, look, Ross, when he was joined us earlier, was talking about Shamar Stewart, right? He's looked really good in the combine. He's got all the measurables. He just doesn't have maybe the on-field production, but that's a guy at 291 pounds, can play inside and outside, depending on the defensive scheme that Staley wants to run. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, super productive guy in college. Jack Sawyer off the edge from Ohio State is another guy that'll be there rounds 2, maybe even rounds 3. It's a deeper class. When you look at corner, you got a lot of good top-end guys like a Will Johnson from Michigan. It's a bigger drop-off after that. I think re-signing Paulson Adebo, I absolutely agree with this article. It has to be the number one priority for the New Orleans Saints in free agency. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back on the other side of this break, we're going to close out the show as we do every day with some Ask the Bench.
Off the bench.
BatonRouge.com, All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com. If you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you're renting, and we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks, and well, next week is here, but if you've got a trip for Mardi Gras break, it is not too late. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in the rental department, and if you need a midsize SUV, a full-size SUV, van, truck, hybrid, sedan, doesn't matter. Everything's available in that rental process, so make sure to get that done. But of course, if you're buying new or leasing, well, actually, maybe not leasing. Maybe you go some places and you only have like 3 options, one in each category. That's not the case over at All-Star. T-Bob and I have both taken full advantage of the rental process, leasing a vehicle, buying new. All 3, everything's going to be available. And we always tell you they have something for everybody. No matter what your needs are, what your family's needs are, they have got you taken care of. So go check out the full selection of vehicles at All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
Is it going? I don't know. You're looking for.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Welcome back in the final segment of a Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, Alondra Villarreal and Jordan Kitchens in as well. All right, right now, want to do a little bit of Ask the Bench. First one coming out of the gate, Ask the Bench. Taylor, rank your favorite Monster energy drink flavors. Okay, so there's like a misconception that like I only drink Monster. No, that's not even my energy drink of choice. Yeah. Monster's not even my energy drink of choice. However, I have an answer for this. The Monster Rehab Tea Lemonade.
I'm dead.
I love it.
Not the Rehab.
I love the Tea Rehab because it's first off, it's a little bit better for you. It didn't have all the carbonation that the other ones have, but I love Arnold Palmer's. That's like what me and my wife. That's what me and Victoria get. Like when we go to Cane's, like I love the sweet tea at Cane's. She loves the lemonade. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna mix it. And they got that one. They got a peach tea lemonade. They have a strawberry tea lemonade. So like the Monster Rehab Tea Lemonade is probably my answer. I like the green one that Jake got me in that pack. I don't remember what it was. Think of like
we're spending so much time on Monster Energy.
Think of like sour melon Powerade is kind of what.
Oh, I actually like those.
Yeah. That's actually what the green one tastes like. Ask the Bench. Alondra, will you be switching to the superior Diet Dr. Pepper, even though it is not?
It's not. It's actually Dr. Pepper Zero is better than Diet Dr. Pepper. But I do love Diet Dr. Pepper. I love any sort of Dr. Pepper, unless it's like the flavored ones. I don't really mess with those. But no, if I go back to Dr. Pepper after Lent, it'll be like a Dr. Pepper Zero.
Ask the Bench.
Or regular. I want to be really bad.
Odds that Alondra makes it without soda and Cassie doesn't have Chick-fil-A. Who folds first?
So I think Cassie will fold first. Absolutely. I actually am very strong during Lent. Like it's going to take a lot out of me for the Dr. Pepper, but like I can make it 40 days without soda. It's just 40 days. You know what I mean? Like I just need to make it to Easter.
I get what you're saying. So it's like it seems like a lot, but at the grand scheme of things, it's like you can actually make 40 days. Yeah.
So I can do it.
Well, and also
the odds that I do it are pretty good. The odds that Cassie does it, I don't know.
Well, and also like all you got to do is like if you don't have a Dr. Pepper in your fridge at home, you're kind of okay. You would have to go out of your way.
Right.
Cassie literally lives right across the street from a Chick-fil-A. Also, Also, your boy's gonna have Chick-fil-A next week for lunch. We have a desk right next to each other.
Yeah.
She's gonna smell. I might even call her. Just to mess with her a little bit and be like, hey, you want some Chick-fil-A? Cassie will 100% cave first. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Will Jordan give up his hater mentality for Lent?
No, because the Lord knows I'm not going to do that. He already knows that this is.
No, I think they say like you're a hater, so will you stop being a hater for
I'm not going to do it for Lent because the Lord knows I'm going to continue to hate. So that's just not going to happen. He just knows like 40 days. Come on, man.
Guys, listen.
I watch the Pelicans. I have to watch the Pelicans for my job. There's no way I'm going to be able to give up hating for 40 days. Come on, guys. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it in the ballpark.
I'm surprised I didn't get that question.
Well, Jordan,
I'm like the quote unquote hater here.
Well, Jordan was hating pretty hard earlier.
He was hating.
Jordan's in
very
a bad mood because, again, he has to watch the Pelicans. Jordan, I saw an interesting stat about the Pelicans yesterday. Alondra, tell me what team this is, okay? So in the last 23 years, both of these teams, okay? The Pelicans have 863 wins.
Mm-hmm.
The other team has over 1,000, okay? The Pelicans have 23 playoff wins. The other team has over 100. And the other team has multiple NBA championships. The Pelicans have 0. What is the other NBA franchise? This is in a 20-year period.
Go Spurs, go.
It's LeBron James. It's actually not even a franchise.
It's just LeBron.
It is LeBron James. So here's the breakdown.
He's a compiler.
1,000 regular season wins for LeBron, 848 for the Pelicans. 183 playoff wins for LeBron, 22.
That was a trick question, though, because you said franchise.
Well, I wanted to do it like that because it sounds like something that a franchise would do.
It's a trick question.
The defense is wrong. All right, look, that's pretty much going to do it for a Thursday edition of Off the Bench.
We can do one more, I think. We have a minute left.
Okay, well,
what do you think?
Let's get one more.
Do we have another one? Oh, never mind. I don't think we have another one.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Thursday edition of Off the Bench. Had a lot of fun in hour number 3. That's a big deal or no big deal. Munchies with Chef Michael Johnson, and then kind of played around the last 2 segments as well. Open the show recapping LSU baseball, guys. It was a complete 180 from what we saw on Tuesday night to what we saw last night. Continuing our LSU football position breakdown is the Tigers are just one more day away from kicking off spring football practice, which will happen this coming Saturday. Wanted to talk some New Orleans Saints. Had Ross Jackson hop on from Locked On Saints and LouisianaSports.net joining us to talk all things NFL draft, the combine, what he thinks the Saints should do. And, of course, we had to talk some LSU women's basketball as well. Their SEC tournament run will begin tomorrow night. Michaela Williams up for a postseason award for one of the best players in college basketball. That's going to do it for a Thursday edition of OTB. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow here on 104.5 ESPN.
Off the bench.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.